I think people need to be unmuted. When I call your name, please unmute. Adams. Bailey. Baker.
Here.
Burrell. Bailey, I see you. Can you say you're here?
Here, thank you.
Thank you. Burrell. Casper.
Here.
Cassieri.
Here.
Chase.
Here.
Cup.
Here.
Crockett Hubbard.
Here.
Dean Chinbrot.
I'm here.
Fitzgerald. Flax. Fortner.
Here.
Foster. Brickman. Gothier David. Gothier Lauren.
Here.
Gustafson. Ainline. Hanscom.
Here.
Jacome.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Towski. Merritt. Perry. Kristen Powers.
Here.
Don Powers.
Here.
Pacino.
Here.
Ray.
Here.
Richards.
Here.
Rusk. Jill. Rusk.
She will not be here.
Okay, Jason.
I'm here.
Okay. Darkley. Stevenson. Thomas.
Here.
Washington. Watson. Wells.
Here.
Whitehouse.
Here.
Whitney. And Evan.
Here.
Okay, let me just
Good night.
look. Let me look back here. Did you see someone else?
This is
Watson is here.
I'm here.
I see Burrell and Watson.
Adams is here.
Oh, good. Okay, let me get 24.
Washington's here.
Okay. 26 and 27. Okay, now anybody else at roll? Looks like 27, Madam Moderator.
Thank you. And I just wanted to say that I did receive correspondence from Representative Flax, Representative Hainline, Representative Jill Rusk, and Representative Foster that they wouldn't be here. And Representative Perry said she would be late. Representative Cassieri?
Oops, Representative Kotowski also sent an email late, but I got it.
Representative Cassieri?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Representative Fitzgerald just wanted me to let you know that she could not make it either.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. All right, so we have a quorum with 27 members in attendance, and let's see, the first item on our agenda of this hopefully last evening of our annual budget meeting is account 1063 Groton Public Library, which you'll find on page 148. And I'm going to ask Chair Gothier if she'd like to read us her minutes.
Yes, let me just locate it in my minutes. We went a little in a different order. So could you just repeat the account again so I make sure I have the right one?
1063.
So account 1063 Groton Public Library, the motion was made by Representative Jason Rusk in the amount of $1,653,056, seconded by Baker. The director, Jennifer Mealy, was there, provided kind of an overview of what they did, this past year, talked a little bit about that. And there weren't any questions really from the committee. So we moved that number unanimously, and I'd like to put to the R.T.M. a motion for $1,653,056.
Second. Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor for account 1063 Groton Public Library in the amount of $1,653,056 made by Representative Lauren Gauthier and seconded by Representative Jacome. Representative Jones?
I have in my book $1,653,248. I just wondered if that was correct from the town council.
If I have it transposed wrong, I know that we supported the town council number, so that might be my mistake, transposing it wrong into my minutes.
Moderator Eben, may I speak? Rep. Chase?
Representative Chase, sure.
My notes from the town council budget hearing is that the library director said she didn't need the extra money, so they went down to that number that Representative Gauthier read.
Would you mind repeating that number now that I've gotten two numbers?
It's $1,653,056. I believe there was a motion to repatriate the original amount to which Representative Jones just mentioned. I think it was made by Councilor Baumgardner, and it didn't pass. So the manager's number is the number we're working on, which is the number that is on the floor at this point. So $1,653,056. Is there any discussion on this? Representative Chase?
Sure, I'll ask a question. Can anyone answer the question as to why there's an extra 100,000 from the current year?
Director Mealy is here.
Hello, good evening. I'm Jennifer Mealy, Director of Groton Public Library. I'm not sure I understand what you're referring to. 100,000 from last year? We're actually at a level budget, actually a 0% budget. So there was no increase whatsoever.
Okay, I was looking at the FY20. You're
Sure.
correct.
Sure.
I apologize.
No problem, no problem.
I think COVID, led to some significant, changes in staffing and decreased the cost somewhat. Representative Washington?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Can somebody explain what is miscellaneous unclassified? And that's on the financing plan. What exactly is that about?
Sure, I can speak to that. We, in the last 2 years, we have added, we are a passport agency now. Well, we have passport agents at the library. So the money, the revenue that comes from that goes into that MISC unclassified fund. So we can specify, so we know exactly that's how much money we're receiving from passports. That's the only thing in our MISC unclassified fund.
Can you explain, what do you mean by passport agency?
So the passport, U.S. Passport Agency has reached out to libraries to see if they could, I don't want to say recruit, but add people to conduct passport applications. And by doing so and becoming a passport agent, the library benefits for every new application that is done at the library. We receive $35 per application. We have educated about 8 of our staff. So they do this in addition to their normal duties, and we receive a revenue source because of that.
Thank you.
Hopefully, yeah.
Representative Richards?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I just really wanted to commend the library for doing so much to adjust over the past year. It's really been one of the few things that we could do, mostly Zoom, but also just the ability to pick up books and kind of keep connected and keep our private library going at home with things from the Groton Library and the other libraries in Groton as well. And really was very helpful. And I know this was a lot of learning and changing throughout the last year. So I wanted to just acknowledge that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other? Representative Chase or Washington? I think you guys just had your hands up from before. Did any of you wish to speak again?
I did, thank you.
Okay, Representative Chase?
Just a quick question. The $35, is that added on to the price of a passport, or is that, does it increase the price of a passport? Applying?
It does, but it's a fixed fee. So if you go to the post office in lieu of us or somewhere else, you're still going to have to pay $35 to whoever is conducting that, that application. So again, it's an additional revenue source for any place that does it. And typically it's post offices. Sometimes it can be parks and rec offices, and libraries are the newest addition to that.
So do you do renewals also, and do you get $35?
No, that is a no from the passport, the actual national US passport agency. We cannot get $35 for renewals because the renewal is supposed to be conducted by the individual. So they have to do their own mailing and everything. So we just do brand new applications. Or when we're talking about renewals, we're talking about people who have expired after 10 years. They come to us and they have to do the new application all over again. So that would incur a $35 charge.
So if that $35, say you go to the post office, you pay $35 over and above the cost of a
Passport.
passport.
Mhm.
So it behoove people, Groton people, or anybody actually, to go to the library and do that.
You're
and
gonna
then
take
there's
this
the
off so it
revenue,
doesn't ruin your shirt when it gets taken off?
correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, we try to market it quite often. And we've also looked at other opportunities to have, passport days where we intake a lot of people to come in on a full day, to come and just, get their passport application done. And yeah, but we do it by appointment and we have lots of times available. So we definitely encourage people to do that. It is a revenue source.
That's good. I like to see agencies and departments looking for other funding besides asking their main funding source. That's excellent. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I see your hand raised.
Yeah, I was just going to tell you that for years I did it myself, and then the passport Department of Transportation said, oh, we had a town, or it was a city clerk in New Jersey that was selling fake, well, they look real, birth certificates for $5,000 a crack. Well, she's now in jail and has been. But that took the ability for anyone who could make a birth certificate, which is, town clerks all over the country were doing passport, and they were the initial, acceptance. We were the acceptance agency, and I did, it was quite a bit of revenue. So I'm glad that the library is doing it, and any office that can't make a birth certificate was encouraged to do it, and I put it out there for lots of people, and the library was the only one that wanted to do it.
Thank you. Representative Rusk?
Yeah, no disrespect to the folks that are making comments, but I would like to remind us that we have a motion on the floor and the comments were starting to take a turn down a rabbit trail. So I'd like us to get back to the business at hand.
Thank you, Representative Rusk. Is there any other comments on the account 1063? I think that the comments did initiate in the revenue stream discussion on miscellaneous unclassified. So I think that we were good, but thank you for keeping us on track. Representative Washington?
I just have a question. I noticed in the library account that the software maintenance fees are included in their budget. I was just wondering, when we did the IT budget, they had software maintenance fees. I was wondering why your maintenance fees aren't included in the town's maintenance fees budget.
Well, I can tell you there are some related software expenses that we share. For example, one of the big ones in this account is our library software equipment, it's called Cersei. So it's all the library related, checking in, checking out. It's a specialized software, and we share that with under contract with Bill Memorial, Mystic and Noank, and Waterford Library. So they don't incur it under IT because it's specialized for libraries, and we're co-paying with those other libraries for that. So that's a huge that's the majority of that particular thing. The other thing that's underneath there is our internet service provider. We have a special rate with the state of Connecticut because we're a library. So it can't be put under the IT division. It has to come, specifically because it's, again, another library specific internet service provider. So that's why we are separated from the IT. They do provide us with the computer replacement fund. We are funneled in part by that IT department. So there are some crosses on that. Hopefully that helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And I just want to ditto everything Representative Richards said.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we do have a motion on the floor. I see no more hands. The motion is for account 1063 Groton Public Library in the amount of $1,653,056. And it was made by Representative Lauren Gauthier and seconded by Representative Jacome. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes 27 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is CIP 7J, technology, which you'll find on page 236. Representative Gauthier, would you like to lead us through?
Sure. Account CIP 7J, the library and GMT servers. Motion was made by Representative Jason Rusk in the amount of $39,000 and seconded by Representative Baker. Sean Greeley was there and offered an overview of the request about why the servers needed to be replaced or updated. The motion for $39,000 was passed unanimously by the committee, so I'd like to put forward to the R.T.M. an amount $39,000 for account CIPJ or CIP 7J.
Second, Adams.
All right, thank you. We have a motion on the floor for CIP 7J library and GMT servers in the amount of $39,000 made by Representative Lauren Gauthier and seconded by Representative Adams. Is there any discussion on this? Representative Jones?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I think I remember that the town has moved a lot of their servers into the cloud, and the police department is also using the cloud for their backup servers. I'm wondering why the library is not also doing the same thing. They were able to save quite a bit of money doing that.
Actually, in the CIP that we have here, it's I don't know how many year plan, 5-year plan, and actually what we're specifically looking at is expanding digital signage. So we're not even at that server level just yet. We're requesting funds to expand our digital signage. That's for this upcoming year. And basically what this digital signage is, it's a marketing tool. It's essentially going to keep the community more informed with news, current news programs, and much more. So what we're trying to do is put them in other locations. Currently, we have this marketing tool at the library, senior center, but we would like to expand it into other town departments, including the town manager's office, or downstairs in the town hall, and some other locations in town, the community center, and it would be specific to that department. So things that are on the feed going, talking about economic development, everything would be available for you to view when you're in those locations. So it's just another marketing tool to expand our news, basically. So that's what this is for this upcoming year. We're looking at the server system, like you suggested, with the cloud. When we get to that point, we are going to be looking at that as well. So, but for now, this is specifically what we're looking at. Hopefully that helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you. Will any of these signs be set up for drive-by like the senior center sign is, or the Fitch High School sign is?
Of course, please.
So it's kind of a variable data thing. It spreads itself around. Great. Okay, that sounds great. It's a nice way to communicate with everybody in different places. So great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Representative Fortner.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I have a couple questions. One is, how many of these digital signage apparatuses are we talking about? Okay, thank you. So when I go into my bank, I look to the right and there's a monitor with kind of words going across it, kind of advertising maybe their latest interest rates or loan rates or something like that. Is that what we're kind of talking about? Yeah, right. Right. Yeah. So is the information then tend to be just a little bit redundant, so you can find that information in other areas? Right, but that information is probably available already on a website or through a newsletter or something like that. Okay, thank you very much for your help.
Representative Washington.
Thank you. Would there be a possibility to get revenue from the signage by having outside companies advertise on the signage?
Representative Washington, are you done?
Yes, thank you, Sean.
So I actually have some questions because at this point, we don't have these monitors, right? And so I'm just curious why we need them. Is there a need that's been identified for people to have this type of information that they can't access at this point? I mean, it has, so I'm just confused. So you have to be in the specific place. There's one monitor saying the library and it's only visible to people in that spot, right? Is that correct? So, is it have sound or is it just visual? But are these gonna have sound or? Yeah, I just would assume that would be distracting at the library, but so when you say marketing, I guess I'm a little confused by that word. At Avery Point UConn, we have like a TV in the student center that has like events and they're like PowerPoint slides that have information like, you know, speaker tonight. And then there's another slide or something, or registration is due, or last time to drop or add classes, whatever it is, but it's like a static, like a PowerPoint slide that kind of rotates. Is that what this is? And is the information then not really marketing per se, as in sales oriented, but just information that I don't know. I'm at a loss with. Thank you. Representative Gauthier, I saw your hand up. Did you wish to speak?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Representative Cassieri.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Could these also be utilized for emergency management purposes? Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Representative Chase.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. So how many out for 39,000? I've read and reread this and I don't see a number. How many can you purchase with 39,000? And the information that you're going to put on these is also goes on GMTV, you said, and like for Parks and Recs, they have a call-in number that you can call to see if a program that you signed up for is still going to take place, correct? So if they're in the building, they can see what's for lunch though. So you can buy 10 with licenses. Do you know what, these are just the public buildings that we have that it's going into. All right, thank you.
Right. So I see no more hands up and we do have a Representative Washington.
Sean, doesn't the senior center already have a monitor? Thank you, Sean.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor. I see no more hands up.
We have 28 members now.
And we have 28 members. It's a CIP 7J library and GMT servers in the amount of $39,000. That motion made by Representative Gauthier, seconded by Representative Adams. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Dean Shinbrat.
Fortner.
Chase.
And Eben. So that motion passes. I believe it's 24 in favor, 0 opposed, and 4 abstentions. Does that seem right, Madam Clerk?
Yes, that's perfect. 28 in favor, 0 opposed, 4 abstentions.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is the borrow at CT on page 152. Representative Gauthier, would you like to lead us through this borrow at CT account 3310?
Yes, thank you. Account 3310, borrow at CT. Motion was made by Representative Hanscom in the amount of $25,000 and seconded by Representative Rusk. Public Library Director Jennifer Mealy provided a brief overview of the program. Essentially, and it was brought up that in the town council discussion, that this amount is typically a grant that gets essentially refunded back to the town. We just have to allocate it in the budget. So the committee passed this unanimously, and I'd like to put forward to the R.T.M. a motion for $25,000 for account 3310 borrow it CT.
Okay, second.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor, account 3310, borrow at Connecticut, in the amount of $25,000, made by Representative Gauthier, seconded by Representative Chase. Is there any discussion on this? Okay. Seeing none, we still have a account 3310 on the floor in the amount of $25,000. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes. Excuse me? The motion passes, I believe, 28 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. I thought I heard a voice. So if someone went to abstain or vote against, please declare it now. All right. The next item is 1083. It's the regional agencies, and you'll find these starting on page 174. Representative Gauthier, would you like to lead us?
Yes, thank you. Account 10830, Southeastern Connecticut Council of Governments. Motion was made by Representative Rusk in the amount of $16,349, seconded by Representative Hanscom. There's wasn't any discussion on this, and it was passed unanimously by committee. I'd like to put forward a motion to the R.T.M. for account 10830 in the amount of $16,349.
Second. All right, we have a motion on the floor for account 10830, which is the Southeastern Connecticut Council of Governments, in the amount of $16,349. It's been made by Representative Lauren Gauthier and seconded by Representative Jacome. Is there any discussion on this? All right, seeing no hands raised, we have still account 10830, Southeastern Connecticut Council of Governments, $16,349. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes 28 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. Can we, Representative Gauthier, would you like to do the next item?
Yes,
Which is
thank
sector?
you. Yep, account 10831 sector. Motion was made by Representative Jason Rusk in the amount of $14,041 and seconded by Representative Bailey. There wasn't any discussion really by the committee on this item. It was passed unanimously. I'd like to put forward to the R.T.M. account 10831 sector in the amount of $14,041.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Fortner.
Thank you. So we have account 10831, which is sector, in the amount of $14,041, made by Representative Gauthier, seconded by Representative Fortner. Is there any questions or discussion? Seeing none, we have account 10831 sector on the floor in the amount of $14,041. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes 28 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. Would you like to continue, Representative Gauthier?
Yes, thank you. The next account is for 10832 seats, Southeastern Area Transit. Motion was made by Representative Hanscom in the amount of $92,676 and seconded by Representative Bailey. The Mike Carroll from SEAT was available to supply answers. Representative Gauthier asked about more information that was asked from the town council meeting by Councilor Bordelon about extending service to Noank and the Noank shelter. And Mr. Carroll replied that it would increase cost to town and could be made available via new micro transit service that SEAT is doing. Said somewhat like an Uber. Representative Hainline asked if there could also be availability made to the Noank Public Garden again. Said it could be done via micro transit, and he'd look into the cost of extending the service. This number was passed unanimously by committee, and I'd like to put forward to the R.T.M. for account 10832 a amount in $92,676.
Second by Cobb.
Thank you. We have account 10832 for SEAT, the Southeastern Area Transit, in the amount of $92,676, made by Representative Lauren Gauthier, seconded by Representative Kopp. Is there any discussion on this? All right, seeing none, we have account 10832 for SEAT on the floor, $92,676. All in favor, please say aye.
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 That's any opposed? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that motion seems to carry 28 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. And the last item is the Connecticut Probate Court 10833. If Representative Gauthier would like to continue.
Yes, sorry, I'm just following along the chat. Clerk McAusher, I'm not sure the number that you just put in to the chat, just to make sure the record is correct. The account number is 10832, not 171.
Right,
And,
I'm behind schedule
oh,
here.
this was sector. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Next one's
but-
sector. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but that's not the right
It's
account
okay.
number for
It's all right.
sector.
Everybody knows what's correct.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Just making sure since this is part of the record.
Yeah,
the chat
I've got the
boxes.
correct record in front of me, but I
Okay.
tried to put it up there for your benefit. Anyone else?
Okay, just making sure we're all on the
Yep.
same page.
Well, we're all
Um,
moving fast.
All right, so account 10833 is the Southeastern Connecticut Probate Court. Motion was made by Representative Bailey in the amount of $13,433. Seconded by Rusk. It was noted that we are legally required to pay whatever they bill us to pay. This number was passed out of committee unanimously, so I'd like to put forward to the R.T.M. for account 10833 an amount of $13,433.
Jones, second.
All right. The next item is, the motion on the floor we have is for account 10833 for the Southeastern Connecticut Probate Court in the amount of $13,433, made by Representative Lauren Gauthier and seconded by Representative Jones. Is there any discussion on this?
I'm sorry, please repeat that number.
Sure, $13,433 for account 10833. Made by Representative Lauren Gauthier, seconded by Representative Jones. Seeing no questions, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries 28 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. Thank you. So we're moving on to the last item in your minutes, I believe, which is 1084 Health and Service Agencies. These are the outside agencies, and I believe you'll find them on page 177, but I think there's a detail in the appendix.
Madam
Representative
Moderator,
Gauthier.
I'm sorry, I have a question. Are we moving these account or these line items separately? That's how we did it in committee.
Separately, yeah, sure.
Okay. So starting with account 10840, it's Ledge Light Health. Motion was made by Representative Hanscom in the amount of $291,729. seconded by Representative Rusk. We thanked and acknowledged all the work that they did during this pandemic, and this number was moved through the committee unanimously. So I'd like to put forward to the R.T.M. an amount $291,729 for account 10840.
Second, Fortner.
Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor for account 10840 for Ledgelight Health in the amount of $291,729 made by Representative Gauthier, seconded by Representative Fortner. Is there any discussion on this? Representative Fortner?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I just want to say this is probably some of the most well-spent money out of this entire budget. Thank you very much to all the employees and hardworking people of Ledgelight Health District. Thank you.
Thank you. I would second that. Even though it's not a motion. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, we have account 10840 Ledgelight Health in the amount of $291,729. I don't know if we have anyone from Ledgelight Health, but there are no questions, so probably. That motion made by Representative Gauthier and seconded by Representative Fortner on the floor in the amount of $291,729. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that motion passes, and I want to extend our thanks to Steve Mansfield and all of his staff. They've done a phenomenal job. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is 10841 VNA School Health. Representative Gauthier.
Thank you. Account 10841 VNA School Health Program. Motion was made by Representative Jason Rusk in the amount of $1,132,493, seconded by Representative Bailey. There was not much discussion on this, no questions, and it was passed unanimously by committee. I'd like to put forward to the R.T.M. an amount of $1,132,493 for account 10841.
Any second?
Rusk, second.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion on the floor for account 10841 VNA School Health in the amount of $1,132,493 made by Representative Gauthier, seconded by Representative Rusk. Is there any discussion on this item? Representative Chase.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Is anyone here from the VNA to answer questions?
I believe there may be. I saw some people in the, let's see.
Well, my question is, can they use LPNs or some other credentialed person to do blood pressure? I believe it's blood pressure, and let me see, that's for the school nurse. But can they have an LPN and have an RN overseer so they don't have to hire so many RNs?
Is there anyone here from the VNA who might be able to answer that question?
No, I don't see anyone. There's lots of other outside agencies here, but I don't see VNA.
Yeah, there's someone by phone. I don't know who that is. I don't.
Oh, no, that's the registrar.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, that's unfortunate
It is.
because that went up quite a bit from FY21.
I think at the town council meeting, there was no one from the VNA there either.
No, and these outside agencies really should be here. Because I'd like to know why it went up about, well, a little less than 100,000 when we have less schools. I'm not understanding the increase.
This is Representative Gauthier. I believe Manager Burt was able to answer some of this, and I believe, if I remember correctly from the council meeting, that it had something to do with raises that were given. This is done via Yale New Haven Health, and so these are just salary raises that are being given in general. Mr. Burt, could you correct me? or provide any extra information that you have?
That is correct. The Board of Ed first gives how many hours they need of time, and then they put a cost to it at BNA.
So can they use LPNs instead of RNs?
I'm afraid I can't answer that.
And I would just suggest that if you look at page 23 of Appendix A, that's where the detail letter is, and it details the increase per hour costs. It's it sounds like they do use school health aides. So it says for school health budget, we are requesting $71.50 an hour for the school RN and $24.25 an hour for the school health aide. For the health and wellness program, we are requesting $75 an hour. We have not increased our rates in several years, but need to do so due to salary and benefit increases.
Yeah, I read that, but I
don't know if that's helpful.
It doesn't, it's not helpful, but thank you.
Sorry.
Can I
Any
put
other
another motion on the floor?
What?
May I put another motion on the floor?
Sure.
The amount of $1,081,278.
Can you repeat that, please?
$1,081,278.
Second, Adams.
All right, so I'm sorry, I'm just writing this down. We have a amendment to our main motion for account 10841, which is the VNA School Health, in the amount of $1,081,278 made by Representative Chase, seconded by Representative Adams. I see Representative Jones has his hand up. Would you like to speak to this?
Thank you, Madam Moderator, and maybe Mr. Burt can answer this. I'm just wondering, just for historical or whatever, why we use outside agencies for our school nurses as opposed to being employees of the town. How did it develop that we use outside agencies?
Cindy Landry would be the better one to answer that.
What was it? Could you repeat your question, please?
My question is just sort of understanding why we use outside agencies for our school nurses or school medical facilities as opposed to them being employees of the town or being part of the Department of Education.
As far as I know, they've always been contracted out through the VNA. I don't know if they've ever had hired nurses independently at the Board of Education. To my knowledge, it's always been through the VNA.
Okay. I'm just
sorry.
used to school systems where they were employees of the school, so that's all. I was just wondering how that sort of evolved, but okay, thank you.
Representative Fortner?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Since we don't have a representative here, it's hard to get questions answered, but I was just wondering like what percentage, obviously when children are ill, they need to see a nurse, but I'm wondering what percentage of children do need to see a nurse, or if it's, I know that a lot of medication is given out, but that just is a phenomenal amount of money to spend. I'm hoping most of the kids are well most of the time. I don't know that for a fact. But don't we have about 4,000 kids in our schools? Somebody must know that. About 4,000. Anyways, that was just my comment. I just wish I would know like what percentage of kids actually visit the nurse, and maybe we could reduce the hours a little. Maybe we can't, but it's something that I'm interested in. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Jean Shinbrot?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I have two questions, actually, one just since the conversations began. Do you know if, or does anyone know if this number includes the school-based health center, or is that a separate amount that comes under the Board of Ed budget? And again, it would help if we had someone from the outside agency. I noticed that in 2 years, the budget for the VNA increased by $410,000. That's a lot of money, and it's hard to think that that's just salaries. Because in 2020, the actual amount was $722,000. This is a huge increase. And I would really wish someone from the VNA was here to explain it. And that's a large increase in 2 years.
Could I just speak to the 20?
Uh,
The 20 actual, I don't mean to interrupt, but that reflects when the schools were closed because of COVID. That's why the expenditures were so far. The kids were not in the school, so the VNA services were not utilized.
So they weren't paid like the school staff?
No, they are not. No,
Okay,
they bill us for actual hours.
okay, that makes sense then. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, that's it. At least I got a question. Yes.
You. Representative Kopp? Oh, Director
yes.
Landry, did you wish to speak again, or?
I'm here. Oh, sorry. Okay.
No,
she's
Representative Kopp, go for it.
Sure. I just wanted to make a note that the difference from is actually 51,000. It's not 100,000. So I think that that's important to put that number out there correctly. And I will be supporting the first proposed number, the full amount of 1,132,493. I think our healthcare professionals are amazing and keep our children very well cared for in the schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Washington?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Cindy or John, do you know how much did the nurses make last year? Do you know their salary from last year per hour?
I'm sorry, I don't have my budget book from last year. It might have been listed in their submission for the budget, but I don't have that information with me now.
Okay, so they make they're charging us $71.50 an hour for RNs. That's what the budget book says? What percentage of that money goes to the agency? And that because we contract to the agency, so is the nurse getting $71.50, or do we have to give part of that money to the agency? Because if that's so, what Representative Jones is saying, wouldn't it be cheaper if we hired our own nurses?
Well, can I jump in here?
Please.
I'll put my video on. Not that I like to. Oh, you can see the top of my head.
There you go.
The VNA bills both the town and the Board of Ed for actual hours used. And if you look, although it's very tiny, very hard to read, on page 26 of the information they submitted, they list the hours of the RNs and the aides that are at each school. And they do go on, I guess, some of the field trips. But they do bill us for the actual time, and we pay VNA directly. And then I would assume VNA pays the nurses themselves. We don't pay the nurses directly. Does that maybe answer your question, Representative Washington?
Yes, it does. So I'm thinking like Representative Jones, would it be better for us to hire our own nurses because they're charging us a fee to contract with them? So we might be able to save some money if we hired our own nurses. I don't know if other school districts do that, or all the other school districts go through a VNA to get their school nurses.
I'm sorry, I don't know what other schools do, but I suppose it's something that could be discussed with the Board of Education. They would have to be Board of Ed employees.
Now, I would assume, Representative Washington, that this number includes any kind of benefits as well, a pension and so if you did take them on as town employees, then that would be not only an hourly cost as an employee, but the benefits and other types of, I forget the acronym, the post-employment benefits.
Good point.
Assume it would,
Good point.
it would have overhead in it also.
Are you done, Representative Washington?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, Representative Whitehouse.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. So it is entirely possible that this $51,000 increase is totally reasonable, but we don't know because there's no one here to answer. It's entirely possible that this is a number we should approve, but we don't know because there's no one here to answer. I've spent many years in the sales world, and I have had times where I made a trip out to meet with a client for $1,000 or a $2,000 deal. They're asking the town for $1.132 million and they can't get someone to be on a Zoom call to answer our questions. So I support the second number, the 1.08. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, if we really need that 50,000, the town council could then reauthorize it, we could approve it, and someone could show up to explain why they need it. But my thinking is that if they're going to be a vendor of the town asking for a 7-figure contract, they should have someone available to answer questions for the meeting. That just seems like respect for the client. So I support the lower number, and I'm sure I'd support the higher number if there were someone here to answer questions. But this isn't like they're coming for $5,000 or $3,000, which some of the people who I believe are on this call are here for much, much, much smaller numbers. So I just think that's totally unacceptable. There's not someone from the VNA here to answer questions and just show that respect. So I'll be supporting the second number. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Landry, did you wish to speak? I see your hand up.
Yes, I did want to add that Town Manager Burt had mentioned that the Board of Ed specifies to the VNA what they feel they need, and the VNA then gives the price for it. So some of the questions might be to the Board of Ed as to what services they think they really need. I just want to make sure that it's like a joint effort between the Board of Ed and the VNA. The VNA doesn't just put forth what they feel the schools need. I just want to make sure that everyone understood that. Thank you.
You, Representative Thomas?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. So just a quick couple of notes here. I definitely feel in alignment with Representative Jones and Representative Washington as far as I think in the future we might want to look at any cost savings that we may find in-house hiring direct as opposed to contracting outside services. I also can empathize with Representative Whitehouse in his frustration not having someone here. However, also, as far as my understanding, though, a lot of these nurses are attached to medically fragile populations in the school, which is why it falls under the Board of Education purview. And these students need specialized care as part of their IEPs and as part of gaining equal opportunity to access to education. They're students that may have epilepsy or some seizure situations or diabetes. These are students that need specialized care, specialized skills. So, there may be a challenge in finding nurses that we can hire in-house as opposed to contracting out. So there could be a value attached to having the outside contracting. And these are things that are mandated by the state because of the IEP. So there are things to consider here in that regard. So I don't necessarily find the number that inordinate necessarily, but I do share the frustrations of not having someone from the VNA or from the Board of Ed to speak to this. Maybe in the future we could also schedule this to happen in concert with the Board of Ed night, where we have someone from the Board of Ed here, since they're involved in this situation. But honestly, I'm still kind of deliberating as far as between the two numbers. I'm going to listen to some more of the conversation and think about it. But I just wanted to bring those points of consideration up. Thank you.
Moderator Eben, you're muted.
Oh, I had recognized Representative Watson, but I do see that the town clerk has her hand up. So let's.
All I was actually going to do is explain that it's all been said. You're right on target with the school nursing being much more than it's ever been before, with trauma and all sorts of other things we've added. And just remember that Yale has taken over this company for visiting nurses. So there may be contracts that we don't understand. I also am not privy to who was invited. I know that I provided a list of outside agencies, and I'm fairly very confident that they were all invited. And the last piece is the the health portion. That's for people that are homebound and can't get out to the doctors, and also some clinics that they run at the senior center.
Thank you. Representative Watson?
Thank you, moderator. I can only give you a little bit of history. I can tell you that the VNA was doing our schools back in 1991 until today. And there have been lots of discussions over the years, trying all kinds of things to cut this number down. I can't speak to why somebody isn't here from the VNA, whether they're invited or not. It would have been good if they were. I know that we used to provide a nurse to Sacred Heart School. I don't know if there were other schools in town that we paid to have nurses in their school, but that was part of it at one point. And I don't think Mary Lanzini is probably in charge anymore because I've been gone for a while. But we tried all kinds of things. And I can tell you from being a substitute teacher in the lower grades in grammar school that if somebody spoke to how many kids go to the nurse, of course, there's all the chronic kids that have special needs that have to be attended to. But every time a kid bumps their head, gets a paper cut, or anything else, the first thing they do is go to the nurse. And especially in the lower grades, like pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, they're little kids. I mean, if they cut their finger, it's a big deal for them, even if it's just to get a Band-Aid. But I know that they have to be there before school starts because there's kids that get there early that have special needs to be attended to. I think I'll stop rambling and leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Gauthier?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. The first point is just to respond to a question that Representative Washington had. I whipped out my budget book from last year, and the answer to her question of how much they were requesting per hour, the school RN was requesting $67.87 per hour, and the school health aide was requesting $23.69 per hour. So with a program total for just this section, the home health program is a separate budget item that we'll be doing next, but just the school health program, they requested the number that I believe Representative Chase put forward. My second point was more of an official request from Manager Burt and perhaps also Superintendent. Could we see at some point, obviously it's not going to come today and the efforts of it won't be able to be enacted for this budget, but a cost benefit analysis of incorporating these positions directly into the education budget, keeping in mind, of course, the MBR versus this program. And I did ask Manager Burt at our committee meeting if there were any alternatives, like if there was another firm or organization or service that could kind of provide these. And the answer was basically no. So if our only choices are using VNA or hiring our own staff, I'd really like to see a CBA on that for us to evaluate maybe for next budget cycle. And those are my only comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Chase, would you like to speak to the last? Well, let me take someone else because there are many, many people who wish to speak on this and you've spoken once. Representative Ray?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I just wanted to kind of blankly, we've been talking about looking at bringing this in-house and trying to do whether or not it'd be feasible for us to manage our own medical staff. One thing to keep in mind that the VNA does do is they also manage the certifications that each one of these health professionals needs to have. So that is part of what we are getting by using VNA staff, is that if we were to take this on as part of our own budgeting and into the schools, then that might create an additional headache that we would need to have oversight with. So I just wanted to make people aware of that as well, that if we're starting to think about that for potentially for next year, all health professionals have to maintain certain qualifications. So that is part of the service that VNA does by managing each health individual per school. So just, again, just putting that out there as a reminder that they're more for managing as well as giving us the providers per school. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Powers?
Yes, thank you, Madam Moderator. It's Chris. So speaking to the increase in the budget number, I just got off the phone with somebody that works at the VNA, and just so everybody knows that the nurses and the health aides for the VNA are union, and they do have contractual pay increases. But more so this year, they're looking at a huge increase in the number of nursing staff and costs because of summer school. There's like about a 50% increase, I think she said, in staffing, which is a direct reflection on the COVID issue. There's a lot of students fell behind. We need more health aides, and tons of kids going to summer school this summer to keep on track. So Gail Haish is the director, I guess, at the VNA at this point. Used to be Mary Lenzini, but she retired. But we did tell, I did talk to this nurse at the VNA, and she said that she thought that she would have been signing on to this, but didn't happen, and maybe she was unaware. But I just want everybody to know, like, a lot of that cost increase is because of just contractual increases, benefits and pay rates, and the work that they're looking at doing this summer. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, can I just say something?
Yes, sure, please.
I've been texting with Superintendent Austin. She said that they did cut out a half a FTE. She's afraid, Susan, Miss Austin's afraid that if you cut 50,000, it may result in a school without a school nurse this year. But she certainly encourages you not to cut. So.
Thank you. Representative Jean Schoenbart. Oh, you've spoken once. Let me just get the people who haven't spoken first. Sorry, Representative Whitney. Representative Whitney.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, perfect. Thank you.
I was double muted. Thank you. I support the full amount for the very reason that this is not a year to cut healthcare costs, and going into next year, it's not one to cut that either. And if it indeed did mean a school without a school, that seems ridiculous. And I get that our feathers are ruffled because the VNA representative's not here, but I think that's a very good reason to cut healthcare towards kids. Actually, I think it's kind of ridiculous. So I would support the full number. And actually, I thought they talked in front of the town council, at least the superintendent did, about this, and the reasons for the increases were laid out. Going forward into the future years, my guess is the cost model of us employing nurses by the town or the schools is going to end up being more expensive, and you're going to run into the expenses of running kind of an independent certification and medical things, like bookkeeping, really. That's a problem. This is an example, private as it is, it's an example of regionalization that we usually argue for other things, but here we want to go back for the other. Let's face it, healthcare is expensive in every way, and this is just one of the ways we're seeing it. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Jones.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I just have a couple comments. One is the representative just a couple back. I don't remember who it is, was talking about talking about the summer programs, the increase in the summer programs, and looking at last year's budget numbers. If they could turn them sideways, we could get them bigger. There are almost no hours incurred in July and August, May and June. So I would anticipate next year that if they're going to fill in those months, there probably would be an increase in those. I'm not advocating for, either number. I think it's fine. I think the way we're doing it is fine at the moment, but I do agree with Representative Gauthier that it would be very helpful just to see a breakdown of that cost between them so we can make an informed decision and know that this is the best way to go to do this, as opposed to hiring. It probably is, but it'd be nice to have that backup, and I would support that. And I think I will support the original number because there, with COVID and all of those kinds of things, there's a lot of extra burden. So thank you.
Thank you. Representative Chase for your second and last time.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. And on page 25, it says there's 108.5 units of service, and I would assume that means people. I have way too many questions for this. They were asked to come. They have come every year. Mary Lanzini just retired in December. There is Gail Haysh there now. Hayshi, as she pronounces it. They've been affiliated with Yale for a number of years now, so that's not new. My concern is that we have fewer schools, and like someone mentioned, this is, a 7-figure budget. I'm not understanding. We have to pay for these schools. The mill rate's going to go up every year because of the schools. They have to find cost savings somewhere. Like I said, using LPNs or somebody else, and just have an RN oversee. I don't understand why. I just don't understand why there's no decrease. We were promised savings when these schools were built, and I'm not seeing it anywhere. I'm not in favor of having all these nurses as employees. I agree with whoever said that it would cost way too much. And I believe they were asked to come to this meeting. As you can see, there are a lot of people from the outside agencies that came to this meeting that did not come to the town council meeting because they were asked to come here because we had questions. And I think it's unfortunate that the VNA didn't come. And I'm not penalizing them because they didn't come. I'm penalizing them because, if you want to call it that, because we need to find savings in these schools that we were promised. And I don't think, everybody can say, oh, but it's such a great program. Oh, it's needed and this and that, but you've got to find savings. We're trying to keep our infrastructure of our town fixed up, and we just have a lot of expenses this coming year, and I think people need to find savings. Thank you.
Moderator, you're muted.
Representative Thomas, would you like to speak to this for your second and last time on this amendment to the main motion?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Yeah, so I just wanted to say that I am, after listening to the rest of the comments, and I feel like I am going to vote for the original number. And that has to do, I agree with Representative Gauthier, who mentioned that, it would be great to see a cost benefit analysis, but I also agree with Representative Whitney, who, surmised that we're probably getting the best deal we can get in regards to the specialized skills that we need. And of course, there are the union contracts that we need to honor. And while you may look up on Google and see that like the hourly rate for an RN, is like about $38 to $45 an hour, and you're wondering about all the overhead, and but you get a lot with that overhead. If you just roughly thinking about it, you think about the certifications that another representative mentioned. I think that was Powers, and the insurance coverage, the liability coverage. These are all things that we would have to absorb as a town if we went to hire our own. So we do get there is value attached to that overhead. It's not just an empty number. I can understand Representative Chase's frustrations, with the lack of savings that may be apparent now with the schools. We are still kind of transitioning as we move away from, from closing a few schools and consolidating some places. And that's another conversation for another time, another budget item that, could be looked at critically as far as, where the highest expenditures are. But overall, I'm in favor of the original motion, and that's what I'm going to vote for. So, and I would encourage others to consider that. Thank you.
You need to unmute.
Sorry, I'm muted. Actually, Representative Bailey?
Hey, thank you very much. If you look to page 27, there's a breakout for the school year, and then they have the FY22 for community health and wellness, which is for the community. It's not just for the schools. And you'll see that there's like 13,125, and then the indigent care, which would be going to a household for a person that's, you know.
That's for the next account, actually.
I thought it would be for this one.
No.
Okay. I don't understand that. I mean, it covers the school health and the community health and wellness. It's not the promotion.
Okay. I thought the
So
indigent health
they
was
do
that.
both. They do both. They don't do just the school, but they also do the community also.
We're on
It's like a visiting
10841.
home.
That's another account.
Point of order, yes, thank you. That's a different account. These are two separate account items. We're just talking about the services provided to the school by VNA, and we'll talk about the indigent health and the blood pressure clinics in the next
Okay.
account number.
Okay, I think I see what you're saying. I stand corrected. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Burrill?
Yes, I've been looking at this sheet on page 26. And here we have the list of schools and the hours that the nurses were being used for. But what I'm realizing is some of these schools are being closed. We don't have some of these schools left. So we're going to need less nurses and yet we're going to increase.
Thank you. Are you done, Representative Burrill?
Yes, I'm all set. That's all I wanted to comment. It's all about this.
Thank you. Sorry, it's hard to hear you. Let's see. Representative Whitehouse, would you like to speak for the second and last time on this amendment?
I would, yes, thank you. Actually, a question, I believe it would be for Mr. Byrd or possibly for the town clerk. So if we were to pass the lower number, am I correct that we could later give them the additional 51,000 or the town council or whatever mechanism?
The only problem with contingency doesn't really take that into account. We're taking, that's a little different. I'd be a little uncomfortable with the amount of contingency right now. I would want the Board of Ed to come up with it if possible. By the way, I did check, the VNA was invited. However, the Gail had union negotiations tonight, so that's why she couldn't attend.
And was there no one else they could have sent?
Yes,
Apparently not.
they do. Yeah, well, they do.
Okay, yeah, I mean, so that's my concern. I wish that there was a way that we could kind of put that 50,000 in a corner for them and not allocate, just kind of send the message. Because I was looking at the list of attendees, the various people who are here, and a number of them are getting as little as $1,000 from the town, and they are waiting through this entire conversation and discussion, probably while doing other things, I imagine. But they're staying on for this entire time so they can get their 1,000, and the VNA getting over $1 million don't have someone here, and I just don't like the idea of a vendor basically that has a fairly substantial contract doing something fairly critical, not being able to answer a significant number of questions. And yes, I understand it's the Board of Ed's involved as well, but we're writing them a very large check for a very large contract, and they should be able to send someone, even if that someone said, I'm sorry, I'm the stand-in for the other person who has all the answers. To send some, but not to send anybody is, I don't want to be dramatic and say insulting, but it's unprofessional at least. And I don't like this idea of like, well, they can ignore us and blow us off, but we have to vote for it because what can we do? We need it. So I don't like it. Thank you.
Would you like to speak for your second time, Representative Kopp?
Yes, thank you, Madam Moderator. I would. I just want to point out that on page 24 of Section A, the letter talks about eliminating both a full-time RN position and an SHA, whatever that stands for. Recognizing
That's a school
that
health aide.
Okay, school health aide then. So those are two positions that are eliminated, and they recognize in their letter that there are three schools closing, and they provide, I think, good information that tells how this additional $51,000 and where it is going. I know they're not here, and I don't agree with it either. There should be a representative here. But I also want to say that the increases in the hourly rate, one of the increases is 56 cents an hour from last year, or from however many years. And then the other increase is $3.63 an hour.
Thank you for putting it in perspective. Representative Whitney, would you like, were you finished, Representative Cobb? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off if you weren't.
No, I am. Thank you.
Okay. Representative Whitney, would you like to speak for your second and last time on this amendment?
He's not muted, so I don't always.
Representative Whitney, did you just forget your hand was up? All right.
Madam Moderator.
Okay, I think that works.
There you go.
Is that good?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. It takes me a while with the phone. I just want to respond to Representative Whitehouse comment. I mean, we're not like, okay, there's no representative here. I get that. It would be better if there's a representative here so they can answer questions. I get that too. But by cutting money, we're not cutting money from the VNA. What you're doing is, if you vote for that, you're cutting health care to school children. And they're not here either, but I still think we want to support them. I know I do, so I'll support the original number.
Thank you. I want to report that Representative Flaxseff joined us, so I believe we're at 29. All right.
Madam Moderator.
Yes.
Superintendent Austin, I think she's tracked someone down who could come answer questions. I'd have to get her the information, so I don't know if you want me to do that.
You know, we can probably vote on this, and then if someone wishes to bring it up again, it can be brought up within this meeting, is my understanding. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
Absolutely. This has been one long meeting since the 29th. So you're still in the same meeting since the 29th.
Yeah, so so if there are answers to this question that come today, we can certainly reconsider this account if the body so chooses. Okay.
Madam Moderator, would that require me to make a motion to table this number until we have a representative from VNA?
No, what I'm suggesting is we can vote on this and we can bring it up again if we can have a motion to reconsider if someone chooses. I would prefer to, after having invested this long in this, I believe we can probably have a vote, and if a member so chooses after receiving additional information, they can submit a motion to reconsider.
Yeah,
Okay.
if nobody, Madam Moderator, if no one else has any more questions, why don't you go ahead and with the vote? Because I think
I see that Representative Bailey has.
Yeah,
his
but he
hand.
wants to
Would you-
move the question. I'll bet any money.
Representative Bailey, if you wish to move the question, I will not call on you because we can vote now.
No, I'm not wishing to move the question, but
Thank
it might have came up, but seriously, but is it possible? Because we still got plenty of time for the budget, you know, up to May 25th, and we could probably put this on the side.
No, I think as I just suggested, Representative Bailey, we'll vote on it. If you wish to reconsider it, we can reconsider it if we get, you know, additional information. I at this point, this is the last scheduled meeting. Certainly, if it becomes after 10 o'clock and we're still going, we can, you know, pause and reschedule. But you know, right at this point, I would like to address this tonight. Okay.
Well, I feel that it's kind of a little bit difficult for some people to make a correct decision and then go back after it's made, that it's too late, regardless.
It's not too late. We can reconsider. We've done it at other budget meetings that I've been at in the past. So I don't think it's too problematic. If there's a real desire to postpone it, we do not have any other meetings scheduled. I would suggest that we move forward with a vote on the amendment and then the motion if that fails. We can reconsider.
Is it possible to, as things progress through the night, we can cut off early and then schedule the rest for a following day, possibly. I think it would be wise not to
Well,
make
this is
a,
not my desire to do it. And so I will ask the town clerk, what kind of motion? We have a motion on the floor at this point. What kind of motion does Mr. Bailey have at his disposal?
You have two motions on the floor. So it would be very unusual not to vote on these motions. There would have to be a motion to suspend the vote, and I don't think the body wants to do that. You can try it, but I don't think they want to.
okay, thank you very much. Going through the moderator, I make a motion to request to suspend the vote on this item for a later time and day.
Is there a second on that?
Second, Thomas.
And I'm trying to see, is that a 2/3 vote we need on that?
No, I left my whole kit at the office. Let
I'm
me look it
looking
up.
at
Let me
my
look it up.
rules.
Let me look it up.
I've never done this one before. I temporarily suspend consideration of an issue. No, it's just it's a majority vote.
Okay, there you go.
So there we go. So can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, we
Can
can.
I ask a point of clarification real quick? Point of clarification? Madam
ahead.
Moderator?
It's not, this is not debatable.
No, I have a clarifying question I need to ask about from the manager. As far as like, is this person on their way in now? Are they coming?
Yes.
This is not debatable. We have a motion on the floor at this point.
That's not a clarifying question. Okay, Representative Adams, yes, no, or abstention? This is to suspend the question.
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Baker,
No.
Burrell. Representative Burrell.
No.
Casper,
No.
Cassieri,
No.
Chase,
Yes.
Cop,
No.
Crockett Hubbard,
Yes.
Dean Chinbrat,
No.
Flex,
No.
Fortner,
No.
Gothier, Lauren,
Yes.
Hanscom,
No.
Jacome,
No.
Jones,
No.
Perry,
No.
Kristen Powers,
No.
Don Powers,
No.
Pino,
No.
Ray,
No.
Richards,
No.
Jason Rusk,
No.
Ian Thomas,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
Wells,
No.
Whitehouse,
Yes.
Whitney,
Whitney, you're on mute.
Whitney. Representative Whitney, yes, no, or abstention? I would have to say he's not voting. Evan?
No.
Oh, I heard Whitney saying no.
No. Yes. That is a no.
Yes, no, it's no. Okay. Evan?
No.
Okay. I have 9 yes and 20 no. Motion fails.
All right. right, so we do have a motion on the floor in the amount of $1,081,278 for account 10841, which is VNA School Health. That motion was made by Representative Chase and seconded by Representative Adams. I think we may need a roll call vote on this as well.
Fine, but keep your mic open, Representative Whitney. Okay, Adams,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Baker,
No.
Burrell,
No.
Casper,
No.
Cassieri,
No.
Chase,
Yes.
Pop,
No.
Crockett Hubbard,
Yes.
Dean Shinbrot,
Yes.
Bruce Flax, oops,
No.
Portner,
Yes.
Gothier, Lauren,
Abstain.
okay, Hanscom,
Yes.
Jacome,
Abstain.
Jones,
No.
Perry,
No.
Kristen Powers,
No.
Sean Powers,
No.
Tino,
No.
Ray,
No.
Richards,
No.
Jason Rusk,
Yes.
Thomas,
Abstain.
Washington,
Yes.
Watson,
No.
Wells,
No.
Whitehouse,
Yes.
Whitney,
No.
Evan.
No.
Okay. That gives you 10 yes, 17 no, and 3 abstentions.
That motion fails. And I just want to note before we move on to the main motion that's been made, that if we do receive this information from the VNA, we can have a motion to reconsider. So, and I should have said that at the last moment, but that is an option. We can certainly have a motion to reconsider. So now we're back to the main motion on the floor. Representative Watson?
Yes, would one have to be on the prevailing side to ask the question to be put back on the floor?
That's my understanding of that, yes.
Thank you.
Madam Moderator, what was the tally of those votes?
I believe it was 10 in favor, 17 opposed, and 3 abstentions.
That's correct.
For a total of 30?
For a total of 30, that's correct.
And how come the last vote was 29?
I actually had 9 in favor,
Something must,
20.
yep, that is
Yeah, I
correct.
had 9
I'm
in
sorry.
favor and 21 opposed.
That's what I had, 21 opposed also, because I was counting.
Yeah, but then the town clerk said another number.
But I think it's 21. I would suggest it was 21. I think we had some people come in beyond just Representative Flax. I'm not sure who that is. Representative Perry came in, but I think you already got her.
I have her. I really try very hard to get this correct. So the no's, I have Adams, Bailey, oh, excuse me. Yeah, the yeses, I have Adams, Bailey, Chase, Crockett Hubbard, Dean Shinbrot, Fortner, Hanscom, Jason Rusk, Washington, and Whitehouse. That's 10. And then for no's, I have Baker, Burrell, Casper, Cassieri, Kopp, Flax, Jones, Perry, Kristen and Sean Powers, Pacino, Ray, Richards, Watson, Wells, Whitney, and Evan. And then I have 3 abstentions. And that would be Lauren Gothier, Jacome, and Thomas. So that somehow we ended up with an extra person.
This is Gustafson. I just joined.
Oh, now we have an extra. I didn't call you. You weren't here for that roll call though. I didn't call your name.
No.
So now we're at 31, it sounds like.
Now we are at 31, but we didn't have Flax for the other vote. Is
I
that
believe
correct?
he was here for that vote.
Let me see.
Representative Flax, did you vote on both of these?
Yes,
The
he
vote
did.
to suspend?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He voted no. Interesting.
Well, let us continue. Is it okay to continue to the main motion, which we have on the floor? It's for account 10841 for VNA School Health in the amount of $1,332,493 made by Representative Lauren Gothier and seconded by Representative Rusk. I think I already put that motion on the floor. Representative Watson, I see your hand up, but I think I already called on you. Did you forget to put it down? Can we have a roll call vote on this, please?
Representative Adams, yes, no, or abstention? This is the main motion of the big number.
Abstain.
Okay, Bailey,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
Burrell,
Yes.
Casper,
Yes.
Cassieri,
Yes.
Chase,
No.
Cup,
Yes.
Rocket Hubbard,
No.
Dean Chinbrot,
No.
Flax,
Abstain.
Fortner,
No.
Sorry, I'm getting messed up here. 4. Foster, Frickman, David Gothier. Oops, Lauren Gothier.
Jane.
Gustafson. Representative Gustafson, I was told you were here. You need to unmute.
Yes.
Representative, okay,
Yeah.
thank you, yes. Hanscom,
Yes.
Jacome,
I just have a point of clarification. I mean, the chat just said that somebody from the VNA is here. If that's not, are we still voting then?
yeah, we're in the middle of a vote, we can't
Okay.
stop.
Understood. I'm gonna abstain.
Okay, Jones,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Kristen Powers,
Yes.
Sean Powers,
Yes.
Pacino,
Yes.
Ray,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
Jason Rusk,
Yes.
Thomas,
Abstain.
Washington,
Abstain.
Watson,
Yes.
Wells,
Yes.
Whitehouse,
Abstain.
Whitney, Representative Whitney,
Yes.
Evan?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I have 20 in favor, 4 opposed, and 7 abstentions.
That motion passes.
Sure, we do have 31.
We have 31.
Okay, well, there you go. Now that we have somebody from VNA, is there any questions that we have?
I don't know who's the person from the VNA. Is it?
It's Lee Hendricks.
Hendrick?
Hendricks with an S.
Hendricks? Thank you for coming to our meeting.
I don't think that's her actually. She's having an issue getting in. Someone else joined at the same time I was expecting her.
Okay, well, let's move on. And as I suggested, we can have a motion to reconsider at some point this evening, if that's the body's desire.
Could I just ask, we've got some people over and there's a new number in the attendees. I don't know what that is at 203-449-6916. Do you know who that is, Town Manager?
Offhand, no. I don't see it on my list.
No, I don't either. So I'm just wondering if it's somebody that's supposed to be here. Well, there's nothing we can do about it.
Is Ms. Leah Hendricks on the phone? You can unmute yourself and identify yourself if you are, please.
Madam Moderator, I'm not
Yes.
sure that mobile phones can unmute themselves. That may have to be done by whoever's the host.
Oh, I don't have that power. I can't.
They
Star
can.
6-9.
No, *6.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
Star 6.
Thank you. All right, so moving on until we hear from someone.
Susan.
Hello.
Hello, is this Miss
Hello?
Lee Hendricks?
Yes, that's me.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We did have some members with questions of your budget. I would I would ask, let's see, I believe if members who had questions would put their hands up again, since I would prefer not to just remember who had questions. Representative Watson, you still have your hand up, and I'm not sure if you have a question or if it's just a forgotten hand.
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Representative Kopp.
Sorry, point of order. Does there need to be a motion to reconsider before we start discussion on this again?
This is not reconsidering. This is just getting questions answered, but perhaps you're right. Town clerk, Madam
Yes,
Clerk, are we?
I'm here and I was wondering, is it appropriate without a motion on the floor? But you know, it's up to you.
I mean, to my mind, it seems like it's appropriate to have questions answered, and then if someone in the body who voted in the affirmative on the winning side wishes to have a motion to reconsider, the body could do it. Or we could have a motion right now if someone wishes to reconsider and open it up. But I'm happy to have questions.
We do have another VNA account. Perhaps it could be wrapped into the discussion under that.
Perfect. Good
yeah,
idea.
This is Representative Richards, I called a point of order. I was going to suggest the same thing. Our next item is on the VNA, so why don't we have a discussion opening with that?
Perfect. Sounds great. So let's continue then to the next VNA item, which is, sorry, I lost track, 10842. Representative Chair Gauthier, would you like to continue?
Yes, thank you, Madam Moderator. Account 10842, the VNA Health Promo. There's a motion made by Representative Bailey in the amount of $33,375, seconded by Representative Jason Rusk. For discussion, Representative Gothier asked if there were any other services that could provide the same type of care as is being provided by VNA, and that if a cost comparison could be made. Manager Burt said he would look into it, and a later reply by email said essentially no. The committee passed this number unanimously, so I'd like to put forward to the R.T.M. for consideration for account 10842, an amount of $33,375.
There's a second.
Seconded, Rusk.
So we have a motion on the floor for account 10842 VNA Health Promo in the amount of $33,375 made by Representative Gothier, seconded by Representative Rusk. Is there any discussion? Representative Chase?
Sorry, that was for your question before on who wanted questions from the prior cost center.
Oh, we do have someone from the VNA now, and the idea was that if there were questions about this or the previous cost center, they could be asked now, I believe.
Okay, I thought you wanted these first.
Well, we could certainly discuss this, the VNA health promo first.
Then I have none for this.
I'm available to do my best to answer your questions.
I can ask about the previous cost center then, Madam Moderator, if you want.
Please, yes.
All right, so thank you for coming. So my question is, when we have 3 schools closing, why are the costs going up so much when we should be seeing savings with fewer schools?
We are seeing a savings because we are reducing some of the nursing hours. However, the hourly rate for nursing has increased in the new fiscal year, and the new hourly rate is up to $71.50 for nurses. And let me look here to see what I have for school health aides. Sorry, I'm pulling this up on my computer. $24.25 an hour for the school health aide. So that is where the increase is coming in.
So, my other question, because this was so long ago, I'm trying to remember them. So can you use LPNs instead of RNs in a lot of places? Because if kids just go to the nurse's office with a headache or a stomach ache or what have you, can we use someone, maybe the school health aide, and not have an RN, so many RNs employed?
No, we have 1 RN per school. The law in Connecticut is that you must have 1 nurse per district, but that law was written in 1982 and it's quite obsolete. So because of the medical acuity level of the kids in the schools nowadays, we do have at least a minimum of 1 nurse per school. We do have 2 nurses at the Groton Middle School because the number of students is beyond the capabilities of 1 nurse. Even the Connecticut law stipulates that there shouldn't be that many students with a nurse. Health aides cannot give out medications. The only other people who are able to give out the medications in schools are the principals or teachers if they are taught. We do not have LPNs on staff, but LPNs can only work with a registered nurse, with an RN. They cannot work by themselves. So an RN would have to be in the building with her. And it couldn't be an RN from the school-based health center because that's a different an agency. It has to be her own, an LPN's supervisor in the building. So that's unfortunately not an option for having 1 nurse in the building.
So I'm sure you had no part in making the budget. It was probably Gail. But I just cannot understand why there is no savings when we have less schools. Can you answer that?
Well, I did mention the, the price increase for the hourly rate. And that is the one that I have. Unfortunately, that I'm looking here in some old notes.
I would think if we had savings because of less schools, that the increased salaries would be absorbed.
No, it did not come out as an even swap, unfortunately.
Can you tell me why?
Unfortunately, I can't because I don't have the report right in front of me, and I apologize for that. I know I sound very unready for this because I am. I didn't expect to be doing this tonight. The best I can do is send it to. I can send a report to everyone tomorrow. But unfortunately, that's all I have in front of me right now.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Ms. Hendricks, could I just clarify, because I believe Director Landry told us that really the schools or the town is only billed for the amount of hours that are actually, kind of given the amount of hours that nurses or school health aides work. And so if there were to be any savings, it would be passed on. I mean, if for some reason there was a miscalculation, this is an estimate of.
Yeah, we only send the bill for the hours that are actually worked. That's why, like in the last year when COVID hit, our bills stopped in the month of March, and then we had maybe a day in June when we were able to close up the schools. So that's when we stopped billing the district. And it's always that way. We don't send a monthly bill just for a random, a total every month based on days.
Madam Moderator,
Thank you.
Superintendent
Oh,
Austin had some info she wanted to add. She can't put her hand up. She's just on a phone.
Oh, sure.
Should be unmuted, Superintendent Austin. I should say you have the ability to unmute. You're muted, but you need to unmute.
Well, Representative Austin, if you wish to speak, the floor is yours. Otherwise, I will call on Representative Dean Shinbrod.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, and Mrs. Austin can jump on whenever we get her on. That's fine. I hope people understand that this is not the school-based health center. We have two different medical facilities in most of the schools. We have the traditional school nurse, which is the VA nurse, and then we have a school-based health center also staffed by medical professionals that are able to write prescriptions, etc. I really am surprised, though, that we haven't been able to save any more money than we did was we were combining schools. And I do understand I work at the middle school, that we do have 2 RNs there and we have several health aides, and it is a large group of students to deal with, but it does seem like a very large bill. And I still don't understand why we haven't saved anything by closing the amount of schools we have.
This is Superintendent Austin. I don't know if you can hear me now.
We can. Thank you.
So with the closing of schools, I've explained this with school budgets before. There are cost efficiencies. Leah Hendricks was explaining that there was 1 less health aide and a half less of a nurse. While we're closing one of the schools, we still have the same amount of students. So we have 600 in each of these new schools, Thames and Mystic River. And so the complexity of handling up those larger elementary schools, we have not added a nurse. We still have just 1 nurse. I think there's a half of a floating nurse too to help absorb some of that or absenteeism when that is happening. But we do have 1.5 FTE less, and then one less health, assistant. But I would say that the contractual costs, I think I had explained in our budget at the Groton Public Schools, we had originally had a 3.1% increase for benefits and for salaries, but with some other reductions, we were able to bring that down to zero. So, we were able to figure that out, but I do know that contractual costs really do increase a budget. So I can hear that Leah is saying that there are those cost increase contractually for what we're paying our nurses. And even with the reduction of staff, it didn't seem to absorb it enough to make it flat. So that's just my helpful explanation, understanding budgets the way I do. Leah, did you want to say anything else about that?
Yes, I do. I wanted to expand on the float nurse. Up to this point, the float nurse was shared with New London. However, with this school, the two new schools being at a population of about 600 students each, the float nurse is actually, as Mrs. Austin said, the float nurse will be increased slightly to spend her time in Groton because of the fact that these two new schools have a very large number of students. It becomes unsafe to just have one nurse with 600 elementary age students. Another situation that just came to my attention within I believe it was Friday actually, is that their Sacred Heart School is getting, which of course we do staff as part of a private nonprofit school, and they are acquiring a medically fragile student that is going to actually increase the nurse's time by a half an hour per day. And so that was something that I had to think about, and how am I going to cover this child's care safely? So fortunately, with the we're hoping that this could help take care of that child as well. And we never know what the new year is going to bring and how many fragile children are coming into the district. There's one thing that's very, very important to remember about the Groton district is that it's a part of the Exceptional Family Program for the military. And so we do get a lot of medically impacted children in this district, which at any given time could increase the acuity level of the students at a particular school.
Thank you.
Sure.
So I'm just curious, so that you would bill Sacred Heart though for that use of that nurse? Groton Schools doesn't pay that, do they?
I'm sorry, that was a little bit muffled. Could you say that again, please?
Yes, Groton Schools doesn't pay for the use of the nurse at Sacred Heart, do they?
I do not know how that is handled on the school districts end, but Connecticut law is that stated as such that the public school districts will provide same health services to the private nonprofit schools in their district, such as Sacred Heart in Groton, and New London, for instance, pays for St. Joseph's and the Williams School. Or they help provide the staff for it.
And that would be similar to how we take care of transportation as well.
Right, I knew it was for transportation, but I didn't know it was for nursing as well. Thank you for clarifying
and
that.
I did hear the comment about school-based health, which we're very fortunate to have school-based health in most of our schools, not all of them, but families have to sign up for that. So that's really something that helps cover family health care. So that whether it's for physical or mental health needs, The families have to sign up, and then they can bring their children even over the summertime for physicals and that kind of thing. So it's a wonderful, valuable service to our families, but it doesn't substitute for a school nurse. So we can't send children who are sick to school-based health unless there's a planned appointment by the family and they are registered with the school-based health. So
That is correct.
Traditional
Yes.
service, it's wonderful, but it can't substitute the school nurse. Did I say that right, Leah? You're the pro.
You did. Yes, no,
Okay.
you did, absolutely.
Representative Jones?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Moderator. And this is to Superintendent Austin. So my question comes as I'm just listening here. It sounds like we have full-time medical staff in some way in every school. And just have you done an analysis of the cost difference between having these as being full-time employees in the school system and using the Visiting Nurse Association? Is it Connecticut rules that dictate that, or is it, did the Board of Education make a decision to go in with basically a freelance nursing service?
Well, I would say that the VNA is really a strong partner in almost all the school districts in this area. Leah can tell us specifically. It's probably more costly for us to do this on our own. I've been in districts where that has been part of the district's responsibility, but I do know that in this area, and Leah can speak to this better than I can, but this is something that really a lot of these Southeastern Connecticut Learn districts have, partnered with the VNA. And there are some efficiencies for us in that. Leah,
If I can, yes, I'd like to expand on that, please. Yes, I do cover the school districts in Groton, New London, Waterford, and East Lyme. We have done them for many years. This is our specialty, and we take care of not just the nurses in the schools, but we also their educational background, making sure that they are maintaining their CPR certification and any type of education that is needed, such as the COVID education that was needed this year. We paid for all of our nurses and health aides to take a 5.5-hour course on contact tracing, among many other courses such as Narcan administration, and the list goes on. And also we take care of the education. We take care of their health insurance and, their dental. We're all the pieces that go with having a full-time employees.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure, certainly.
Thank you. Representative Jean Shimbrat, did you wish to speak a second time?
No, I guess I forgot to take my hand down.
Okay, Representative Chase, did you wish to speak a second time?
I do, thank you, Madam Moderator. Can you tell me if insurances are charged for these services when the kids come down to the nurse's office?
That would be a CompuClaim billing. Susan, would you have more information on that? I know there's, I'm not very well versed in all the services in the schools that are charged. I know a lot of speech and occupational therapy and physical therapy, not as much for nursing that I'm aware of.
Not for the nursing, but for all of those other services.
Do you know why that would not be? Do you know why that would not be?
I'm not sure. I could find out for sure to see how that would be done.
I mean, if insurances can be charged, I think the taxpayers would be happy about that instead of taking it out of their pockets. And the other question I have for Town Manager Burt, can we get a formal application and budget process for outside agencies? I mean, it seems kind of odd to me that they can just send a letter, and honestly, one of their pages is illegible. I mean, it's too small for any human eye to see. But can we get together a formal application and budget? We should see budgets, full budgets of what they're charging.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that.
I think that's a good idea, Representative Chase. Thank you. So we do have, are there any other questions for the VNA and before we vote on account 10842? All right, Representative Jones, you wish to speak for your second and last time.
Yes, thank you, Madam Moderator. I guess my question would go to Superintendent Austin is it available to have, or have you done the analysis of what it would be, the equivalent cost if these were in-house so that we could just see the benefit that we're getting by going to the VA, the VNA?
I think that was done. I will look to see and check the records on that and get back to you.
All right, thank you very much.
Representative Washington.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. The question that Representative Chase asked about the insurance company has been asked in the past, and I really would like to get an answer to that question. I don't remember getting an answer to that question before. So if the superintendent could really look into that and give us an answer about the insurance.
I'd be happy to. I'd be happy
Thank you.
to.
Thank you. All right, we do have a motion on the floor for account 10842 VNA Health Promo in the amount of $33,375 made by Representative Lauren Gothier, seconded by Representative Rusk. All in favor of that amount, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? And I wanted to note, I believe we're at 32 because I see that Representative Joe Rusk just came at 9. So that was 32 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. That motion passes. At this point in time, I just want to remind you, if after hearing the feedback from Ms. Hendricks, if anyone wishes to, who voted with the majority, wishes to put in a motion to reconsider, that can happen anytime this evening. So, and I see Representative Frickman is here. So Representative Frickman, you must, I don't know if you voted. Representative Frickman, did you vote in the last vote?
He was counted in the last vote.
Okay, so it was 33 in favor? I think that if you voted, it would be 33 in favor.
Well, I had 20 and 7 and 4 is what it was. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yes, I'm just saying that we just voted on account 10842, and that would be 33.
Oh, I'm actually talking about the VNA full enchilada. He voted, he was here for that.
I know, yes, I understand that.
But we didn't have, what I'm saying is we got the number wrong.
I know, I just was referring to the vote we just had, which is, I believe is 33 in favor.
That is correct, 33 here.
Madam Moderator, point of clarification.
Yes, Representative Chase.
So Ms. Austin is going to check into some things for us. If by a miracle we finish tonight, is this account 10841 a done deal then? I mean, even if she gets back to us tomorrow with the answers, and we're done tonight with the whole budget, we can't bring it up again, correct?
Madam Clerk, is that true? Could we bring it up if the budget meeting ends tonight?
If you don't adjourn this evening, then you leave it open until the 25th, and we come in and adjourn the meeting. You know, there are ways around this if you really want to do that, but the question is, if you adjourn this evening, can you bring it up? No, the budget will be finished. It's not like a regular resolution that you're passing. This is, well, I mean, you'd have to call a special meeting, actually. If you adjourned, you'd have to call a special meeting to reconvene, and that would be very difficult, I think.
But we could recess tonight, even if we were through with this whole
You could recess instead of adjourn. And then, and if you don't call a meeting, it'll expire with what you accomplished.
Well, because they're going to check on if the nursing services can be sent through insurance. That would make a huge difference. So that's my question.
Well, I don't know if that'll make a difference. You'd still, even if the insurance covered it, you'd still have to pass the full amount and then you'd get reimbursed. You know what I mean? Like we always.
I do understand that.
Yeah, like a grant, okay.
I think we should still have that knowledge.
Are you asking me if you could carry on tomorrow or the next day? You have until midnight the 25th to finish your work.
I mean, I'm not planning to come back again. I have meeting on Wednesday. And I'm giving a talk at a conference on Friday morning. So I would prefer not to have to come back for one item, but what would be the process of scheduling that meeting?
You'd need 24-hour notice and you need to call the meeting.
And what if we didn't come back?
You finished your budget. You'll have finished your budget. It's not like there's something else to adopt. You don't have a final vote of a full budget. You're doing everything by account.
Moderator Evan, in your original letter, we had tonight, we had Wednesday, Thursday, and next Monday in your letter. So those were kind of scheduled.
Yeah, I have another standing meeting on Wednesday, so I don't know if I did schedule that, tell you the truth, but I think I scheduled Thursday, not Wednesday.
Yeah, Thursday is the only one that I had scheduled. But you would have had till the 20. Well, we had the 24th reserved.
Right.
We didn't actually we actually didn't put a meeting there. It's just, it was reserved.
But so what I'm asking is, so we could just recess tonight, and if we don't reconvene, is there a problem?
No, because you'll have finished all of your accounts tonight.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I can add one piece of information because I'm actually using 3 devices trying to figure some of this out for you all as we speak. And I have Denise Doolittle, and she says you cannot use CompuClaim or claim Medicaid for nurses. We do it for all other kinds of services for students, but it's not allowable for the nurses.
Did she say why?
Didn't say why. You know, I definitely could find out. I apologize. Had I known this was on the agenda and that we could have prepared a little more, I would have reached out to the VNA ahead of time.
Well, I appreciate you coming. Thank you so much.
Well, I wanted to be able to answer the questions the best I could and, you know, see what we can do here. And the question was something we've heard over and over again, you know, while we do want to see the cost savings and cost avoidances due to the efficiencies of, you know, closing these schools, we still have the same number of children. And then we have these contractual obligations, which really cause the increases. So I just wanted to be able to explain that. But I can also find out if there's been any history about, you know, seeing what it would cost to do it yourself. But I know the VNA has been a wonderful partner, and they are partners with many, many other towns. And has really given us wonderful services. So I just want to say that too, to the public.
Thank you, Superintendent Austin. Sounds like we can reconvene on Monday at the latest if we need to then. And so if you can get us that information.
I'll try to find out the why and and I'll find out if there's any history to this. I could even call Dr. G. So I'd be happy to investigate more and research this. And I appreciate Leah for jumping on at the last minute. We were texting one another, and I appreciate her bringing forth some information to us as well.
Are there any other questions I can help with? This is Leah.
Representative Thomas, I see your hand is raised. Did you have a question of Ms. Hendricks?
No, negative. I'm all set with all that. I just was gonna request that we take a break 5 minutes.
Yes, Representative Washington, did you have a question for Ms. Hendricks?
Yes, I did. I was just wondering, Superintendent Austin, if you said we couldn't bill RNs, if we had APRNs, would we be able to bill for them?
The information I received, Representative Washington, is that there are no Medicaid, costs or refunds for the nurses, but I will look into that a little bit more too, to see why.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll await that information, and I do believe we will take a break until 9:26, 5 minutes. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you want a roll call?
No, I think if we can go with probably assume that we have
I don't see anybody who's left. So I think everybody's.
So anyway, thank you guys. Chair Gauthier, if you'd like to continue with account 10843, the Groton ambulances.
Yes, I hope everyone's here and ready. It's quite a bit of content we went over. Account 10843, the Groton ambulance. A motion was made by Representative Bailey in the amount of $52,976. Representative Gauthier seconded the motion for purposes of discussion. Chester Knickie, president of the Groton Ambulance Board, was present to answer questions. Representative Jason Russ asked, why did the budget effectively double? Mr. Knickie responded that PPE costs increased 90% due to the pandemic, and there was an increase in non-transport calls, which are non-billable. Representative Rusk asked, does the volume of calls affect the staffing? And Mr. Knickie responded that for a short time, there was a decrease in calls because people were worried about catching COVID at the hospital, so they cut staff. But then as call number volume began increasing, they increased staff again. Representative Gauthier asked why there was no fee for standby service provided by the ambulance service, and if the department would consider charging a fee to cover that cost. Mr. Knickie answered that the standby service is free for municipal and nonprofit events, but there are charges for private events. They don't happen, or they happen infrequently and cannot be accurately budgeted for. Representative Gauthier asked about the decrease in paramedic service costs. Mr. Knickie responded that the paramedic service is now provided by Yale, and there are none on staff. The cost decreased because of the deal with Yale. Representative Gauthier asked, if your budget is not increased, what will be cut? Mr. Knickie answered that the public outreach programs would decrease and there would be an increase in time to respond to calls, creating a safety issue for residents. Representative Richards provided a list of questions from her caucus prior to the meeting, and Representative Gauthier asked Mr. Knickie the following questions. There was a decrease in calls in 2020, yet staffing increased. Why was that? Mr. Knickie responded that losing calls due to short staff to accommodate residents. They lost calls due to short staff. And as the decrease, they wanted to decrease wait times and wanted to provide a better service. Second question was, over 20% of the calls responded to in 2020 were non-billable. How does this compare to billable call rates for the past 3 years? Mr. Knickie responded, we've seen the non-billable number has gone up simply because of the public campaign for information about not going to the hospital because of COVID. Some calls where they arrive but don't transport are not billable. And so seeing increase of mental health calls also, if they don't get transported, it's a non-billable call. And the non-billable calls have increased, significantly. There's a question about what is premium pay? Why has it gone from $1,900 to $52,000 in 1 year? Mr. Kinnicky responded that premium pay is for supervisors that are there on staff 24/7. And so in order to reduce the cost of having that supervisor for the staff, they are now providing a stipend for a crew chief per shift. And that way the president, the vice president, or a supervisor isn't handling, quote, street level issues. They said that this is less expensive than overtime or hiring more supervisors, and that on each shift, somebody is designated as a crew supervisor, and that stipend is paid per shift. The next question is, why did overtime and unemployment costs both increase so dramatically? So Mr. Kinnicky responded that there were some unemployment cases that the department lost, and the overtime is due to scheduling and not having enough staff, since some people are guaranteed overtime even with increased staff levels. They're having trouble finding qualified workers due to COVID and other reasons. Next question is, why did professional liability increase so much? The insurance plans were combined. Mr. Kinnicky responded that insurance plans were combined into from two line items into one for bookkeeping purposes. Next question was, please list your board of directors. President of the board, Chester Kinnicky, the vice president, Brian Kiley, treasurer, Rob McDermott, secretary, Keith Gomes, training officer, Samantha Taylor, and director, Kelsey Gomes, and there's a director position that's vacant. Are there any family relationships between board of director members? Keith and Kelsey Gomes are married. Brian Kiley and Samantha Taylor are father-daughter, and they abstain when there are conflicts. Do any members of the board of directors receive any type of stipend or payment? Paid members of the board get time paid to them when they're present or board duties, and the training officer is a paid employee of the department and only gets stipend for doing 4 hours doing board work. The director at large and director are paid. The president, vice president, treasurer, secretary all get stipends. How often is the budget independently audited? Mr. Kinnicky responded, every year their accountant audits the budget and they use the same accountant year in, year out. And that is it for that part of the discussion. Representative Hanscom then offered an amended motion for $105,952, seconded by Representative Kopp. There was no discussion on that, and Representative Baker then joined the meeting at 7:23. So that motion passed with 5 in favor, 1 voting against, and 1 abstained. Since the amended motion passed, the committee did not vote on the original motion. So therefore, I'd like to put to the R.T.M. an amount of $105,952 for account 10843, the Groton Ambulance Service.
Second Powers.
I wanted to just ask a clarifying question. What was the original motion? Because I thought the original motion was 105,952.
No, the original motion was to 52,976. So that was the, just as some context, that was the number from their last year's budget. This year, they are asking for about a $50,000, a little more than $50,000 increase in their budget. And that is the number that was the 105,952. That's the council and manager number. So Representative Bailey put them back to what they had requested last year. And that was the original motion. But because a amended motion came forward and was passed, we did not end up voting on that original motion.
The original motion wasn't the town council number?
No, it was not.
That's why I was confused. Thank you. Thank you, Chair Gauthier. So, is there any discussion on this beyond me? Representative Washington.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I see in their budget that they want $10,000 for improvements. Can they talk about what improvements they're going to do? And my second question is, other than the town funding, how else do they receive money for their operation?
Well, I'm available to answer that. So,
Thank you.
one, thank you for the invite. I appreciate the opportunity to show you and inform you of what's going on here. Number one, your question about improvements. The apparatus bay floor that was originally poured in 1970 when the building was opened is slated to be renewed, and that's about $7,000. We also have some other projects at the building that we are planning to put in. That's where we came about the $10,000. The money that we receive from the town is a small portion of our operating funds. We get a majority of our funds from billing insurance companies, Medicare, Medicaid, and the town only pays, last year was 52,000, this year would be 105,000 if it is passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Jean Shinbrot.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I've got a couple of questions, and I'm hoping maybe someone from Mystic River Ambulance is here also. I'm wondering if Mystic River Ambulance and Groton Ambulance get the same reimbursement rates from private insurance and from Medicare and Medicaid, because their numbers are quite different and usually are each year. Kind of wondering why the differences.
So I can speak to that. Our recovery rates are set at the federal level and the state level, so we do not have any control over that whatsoever. The numbers are different simply because of the call volume. We have a lot higher call volume. Also, we have different operating systems. Mystic River, for instance, owns their building. We rent from the town. We have 5 ambulances. I believe Mystic River has 4. We are totally independent of each other, but we work together when we need to.
So if I remember right, and I was on Public Works at the time, money was allocated to put a new roof on your building, and also one time to repave the parking and the front entryway. And I didn't remember you having to pay for that.
That is true. The lease that we have with the town called for the town to do those items. However, we as an organization have also put money into the building. Over the last couple of years, I would estimate probably about $80,000 to $85,000 from our organization's operating funds have gone into the town building, and we do pay rent.
Okay, I'm sure Mystic River must have a mortgage. So I find it interesting that each year there's quite a disparity, and I'm sure you're both busy, but there's quite a disparity in what you're asking for from the town. Thank you.
Well, the other aspect of it is Mystic River, half of their district is in Stonington. So they get money from the town of Stonington also. So they're not really comparing apples to apples.
Okay. I've never known Stonington to be extremely generous.
I actually have their budget. So they pay $119,500 for ambulance service.
To Mystic River Ambulance, or in total for the town of Stonington?
In total for the town of Stonington.
Okay.
They pay $38,500 to Mystic River, $38,500 to Stonington, $42,500 to Westerly.
Okay. So,
and to give you a little comparison, North Stonington pays for their ambulance service $353,727. I'm sorry. And they do the amount of calls in the year that we do in a month. We are close to the level of New London's. service. We usually go back and forth every year as to who has the most. The city of New London contributes $319,000 to their ambulance service. So we are giving you a Rolls-Royce service with pretty much a you-go budget. So it's really been an impact on us this past year with COVID, but we've done everything that we can, and we are very proud of the service we provide to the residents and visitors of Groton.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Representative Washington? No, let's see, Representative Chase.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Representative Gothier, you gave us a lot of information. So was there one tipping point that made everyone go back up to the higher amount? Do you think?
I'm not sure what motivated anybody and whether or not there was actually large committee support for the original motion. Like I said, I made the second on that motion because for discussion purposes, really, there was no one else forthcoming to it. So whether or not that original motion had a lot of committee support to begin with is questionable. I do think that there are a lot of things to discuss within this. It is a large increase, and we have to consider that every year, every budget asks for an increase. So it's not like this is incremental and we've worked up to it. This is a doubling. So that's why I wanted to discuss the disparity between the 52 and the 105. But as to your point, no, I couldn't even say if there was committee support for the original motion.
Well, I know in FY19, you received 52,976, and FY20 you did as well. And you mentioned the reason for the increase was because of all the expenses that you had during COVID. Did you get any COVID money?
We did. We were able to get a PPP loan, which allowed us to restore our staffing to pre-COVID levels, which is what it was designed for. And that way we were prepared when the normal influx of calls after the lockdown came to fruition. We were already ramped up and we had all of our procedures in place, and we were able to answer all the calls that we needed to.
Okay, and if we gave you the 52 last year and you didn't have all the calls, does that money stay in the fund balance for Mr. Burt? Or
that gets deposited in our account on a monthly basis.
So if you didn't have all the calls that you normally have, you should have money left over from FY21.
We still have the same operating expenses. We still have the same insurance. We still have the same like workers' comp. So there is some overhead involved. It's not necessarily equal to our call volume. It's more of an operating expense.
Can you tell me what the rent is now that you pay there?
I believe we're in our last year of the contract and it's $2,500.
A year?
Yes.
Okay, so that's not too harsh. So you mentioned the reason the more than doubling increase in FY22 is because of the expenses you had in FY21, but those expenses should come out of the FY21 budget, not going forward. So is there another reason why it would more than double?
So it did not more than double. If you take the 52,976 and multiply it by 2, it's the 105. But mostly our operating expenses, when it comes to our COVID precautions, have skyrocketed. It's a supply and demand out there. EMS in general has changed the entire way it does business. There's no more just walking into somebody's house and taking for what they say at face value. We have to treat every single patient with extreme caution, and we have people going into these people's homes and being compassionate and being professional and literally putting their life and their family's life at risk because we have to provide them with the testing for COVID. We have to provide them with the respirators, the proper PPE, and all of those costs have increased exponentially due to supply and demand.
Right. I have the highest regard for the Groton Ambulance Service. Don't get me wrong, but I am here to look out for the taxpayer. I speak very highly of the Groton Ambulance Service.
I do appreciate that. Like, I am very proud of the organization myself. I've been here for over 20 years in every single capacity you could imagine. Like I said, if you look at what other towns are paying for and the amount of service that that Groton gets, it's not even comparable.
Now, in last year's budget, I had notes saying that, or I should say FY21. I was looking at last year's book. You said you were going to do outreach. What kind of outreach would you be doing in a normal year?
So we do, one of the big programs we've had lately is our car seat program. We have sent some of our employees to be car seat technicians. That's used everywhere from the brand new couple that moved into Groton that's expecting to the grandparents that have grandchildren coming to visit. We've done that. We are the leader in the area for that. We constantly get calls for that. We do CPR classes. We do touch-up trucks. We do a lot of community outreach services. You name it, Groton Ambulance does it. We are pretty much the catch-all. When nobody else wants to do anything, Groton Ambulance is the one that steps up to the plate and gets it done.
Okay, can you tell me why software subscriptions have tripled?
Because of the requirements that the state has put on us for reporting, we have to report to Medicare and Medicaid, and the software prices, as you get more in depth of what needs to be reported, the software companies get more money for it.
Sounds logical because I'm in the business of grants. All right, thank you very much for your responses.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Gothier.
Yes, thank you. So one question that I had was about the premium pay. I think it just catches the eye because it parallels so kind of perfectly the $50,000 increase or thereabouts that you're requesting. Could you tell me how you calculated that number, about how much the stipend is per crew chief, like per shift?
Sure. We have people here 24/7. We've increased our manning, so therefore, in order to add that extra step of management for span of control, we have instituted the crew chief premium pay. It is a stipends that is not counted in their hourly rate, so it would not go up as much if that person is in overtime. It's a straight pay, and that's an extra $4 an hour to be in charge of the entire shift.
Okay, and that applies to any person designated as crew chief?
Yes. Yep, there are certain requirements that you have to be in order to be a crew chief. We look for people that have experience and problem solving skills and some common sense, which is really hard to find lately.
Can feel that. So my other question is, in shifts where perhaps yourself, your VP, any other kind of typical supervisor is on duty, are you also receiving the premium pay on your salary?
Myself and the vice president, we don't receive any salary. We are volunteers, as is our treasurer and our secretary.
Do you receive the stipend as well then?
I do receive a stipend. I think when it works out with all the hours, I think I get like $1.10 an hour for the amount of hours that we put in here. So definitely nothing that I'm going to retire on. The supervisor that is paid as a supervisor, she oversees everything else. She's more of like an EMS manager than a supervisor. But we've because of the amount of staffing we have now, we felt more comfortable with having that extra step of management for span of control.
Okay, and I think my last question is, I see there's a significant increase in your expenditures for public outreach. Looks like about $8,000. Can you explain what public outreach events you're planning on doing with that increase?
Sure. We again, we're really developing our car seat checks. We have participated pre-COVID in a lot of car seat clinics. We work hand in hand with the senior center and the library and the town and city police departments. We have also done CPR classes for residents. We've gone to the Fairview housing complex, I guess you could say, and we've done classes for there. So we're looking to expand on that, and just the supplies for that. When you know, if you're going to do a CPR class, you need to have certain, for lack of a better term, dummies that you can practice on, and that's all expensive. And we also get grants for car seats, so we're really developing that program, and it's a huge asset to the community. We've seen a good uptick in that.
Okay. I do, forgive me, I do have one more question. So your budget anticipates, as far as PPE and all of that goes, anticipates remaining in full COVID procedure through the end of next fiscal year, which would be summer of 23. Is that your intent, is to remain and need all of those PPE precautions even as vaccinations proliferate, case rates, start to slow down and all that?
I can't answer that. I don't have a crystal ball. I merely follow the government guidelines. So we are planning for the worst and hoping for better.
Thank you.
When HIV first started, EMTs never even wore gloves on a regular basis. So that was a change for us. And now with COVID, it's pretty much a paradigm shift as to how we have to approach things. So I don't anticipate our COVID response going away just because of vaccinations. I personally probably wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I knew I was putting my employees in some sort of harm's way. But we still have to change the way we do things. And unfortunately, to protect people, it does cost some money.
Thank you. Representative Fortner.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Thank you, Mr. Kinnicky. I know you are an extremely dedicated servant to our town. Going back to the premium pay, however, we're just going to keep picking your brain. So it sounds to me like, so you could have potentially like 3 different supervisors on one shift if you have a crew chief, yourself, or the vice president and your EMS manager?
No. Myself and the vice president, we usually just cover extra calls as they come in. I'm sorry, we have a call coming in right now.
Okay. But okay, so but go ahead.
We aren't here 24/7.
Right.
And our EMS manager is here only 3 days a week.
And
so
is there still a crew chief on or not?
There is a crew chief on, yes. Because they make the on-the-fly decisions and the crew allocations and the call distribution. They are the ones making that decision. And if something major comes up, then it brings it to the next level. If there's any disciplinary or if there's any issues that the crew chief can't handle, that upper management would need to get involved in.
Okay. All right. So that since the premium pay went up by a little over $50,000, I guess I'm wondering if this was a policy change last year, if this policy change could actually be driving
the increase of your budget?
I think there's a lot of factors that are driving the increase of our budget. The crew chief is one of them. I think that's a smaller one than, say, like our workers' comp insurance, which went up astronomically, but that's beyond our control.
Mm-hmm. All right, I just have one other question. About your, I'm all in favor of a really an independent board, and on your, you mentioned answered the questions that the committee chair answered, and so you've got 6 people, 4 employees, 1 spouse and employee, and then a volunteer EMT. So it doesn't, and no real, and well, the one person might be considered an independent community member, but
Representative Fortner, is this relevant to the budget?
Yes, I'm just asking. My point is, if my concern is that the Groton ambulance is a business looking for public money with minimal public oversight. So I'm just wondering how we could, manage, because I think that directly goes into the budget, is how it's being looked at. And is it being looked at somebody other than people who are very close to it because they're working they're working within the organization that they are now charged with running?
We have provided our entire budget down to every line item. We have been completely transparent. We have absolutely nothing to hide. If somebody would like to come in and serve as an ex facto member of our board of directors, that is well within our bylaws, and we would welcome that.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm all set.
Thank you.
Representative Burrow.
Yes, I'd like to move another figure. I'd like to move the original figure from the council at 105,952.
That's the number that's on the floor right now.
I thought it was the 52,956.
No, the number on the floor right now is 105,952.
Okay, in that case, never mind.
Thank you. All right. I see people who have spoken before. Representative Washington, did you wish to speak for a second time?
Yes, I do. I guess this is for the town manager. I was under the impression that the town would take care of the exterior part of the ambulance facility, and they would take care of the interior part of their facility. Am I mistaken?
That's what I was thinking, but I don't have a copy in front of me, but that's what I was thinking also.
All right, so
that is in fact what happens.
Okay, so if that's the case, why are we paying for the apparatus bay floor?
You are not, we are.
Oh,
we have the full budget. We're only paying a very small portion of this budget, right?
Okay.
Everyone's on the same page.
We are paying for the apparatus floor. We are paying to upgrade, like we did all the heat and air conditioning in this building. We've paid for numerous updates. We have worked with the town, and we've had a very good working relationship with them. We pay for the annual boiler inspection of our furnace. So we do share costs, and it has been a very good working relationship, at least to my knowledge.
Thank you. And then I have a question about the stipends. What is the cost of the stipend? Is it like $1,000 per stipend, or $2,000 that they get, or $50?
So we have a volunteer incentive program that gives points, and the points, every 10 points, I believe, is like $2 total. But then myself and the vice president, we get a $1,500 stipends, and which I said works out to be like $1.10 an hour that we get paid.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Representative Fortner, did you wish to speak a second time as well?
I'm so sorry, I didn't lower my hand. I did want to move another number of 79,464.
Second.
Can you say that slower, please?
Yeah, I'm sorry. $79,464 which brings it, which is a 1.5% increase, instead of a doubling. So it would be a decrease of 26,488, which is half of their increase. And no disrespect to Mr. Kanicki, we're just not used to seeing these kind of numbers, no matter, even if it has been a very trying year. So anyways, I just wanted to throw it out there. Thank you very much.
On that point, I will say,
I didn't
sorry.
hear who seconded that.
Dean Shinbrat.
Thank you. So we do have a motion, amendment to the main motion on the floor of 10-8 for account 10843 in the amount of $79,464 made by Representative Fortner, seconded by Representative Dean Shinbrat. Mr. Kanicki, did you want to say something? Sorry.
I did. No, I apologize. I apologize. If you look further back in town budgets, Groton Ambulance used to get upwards of $400,000 to $450,000 a year from the town. And since 2019, when I took over, we were steady at 52,000. The only thing that has increased is the amount of workload that we have, the amount of calls we have, the amount of expenses we've had. So we were at a 0% since 19. And years prior to that, and again, I've been here for over 20 years, it was a lot more expensive. And for the amount of services that you are getting, for the amount of money that you paid, I believe somebody in the last line item said, this is not the time to cut healthcare. And this is exactly what, is being proposed. It's kind of upsetting because while everybody was home in COVID lockdown, all of my employees were still coming to work every day. They could have quit and gone on unemployment and made a lot more money, but they were dedicated to the town. They were dedicated to the community. And this is actually, when you look at what you're getting for the amount of money that the town pitches into us, it's astronomically undervalued.
Thank you. We do have a motion on the floor for account, it's an amendment to the main motion, account 10843 in the amount of $79,464 made by Representative Fortner, seconded by Representative Dean Shinbrat. All in favor of that, please say aye.
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 I think we're going to need a roll call vote, Madam Clerk. Please.
Yep, I'll get that ready for you. Hang on. Okay. We've got a yes, no, okay. Okay, Representative Adams.
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Baker,
No.
Burrell,
No.
Casper,
No.
Cassieri,
No.
Chase,
Yes.
Hop,
No.
Crockett Hubbard, did she leave? Anybody know? Representative Crockett Hubbard? Oops, I'm in the wrong group. I think she may be gone. I don't see her. Okay, we'll skip Crockett Hubbard. Dean Shinbrat,
Yes.
Bruce Flax.
He left.
Okay, thank you. Fortner.
Yes.
Okay, Frickman,
Yes.
David Gothier. Oops, he's not here. Lauren Gothier.
Yes. Yes.
Gustafson. Representative Gustafson, are you still here?
Yes, he is. I
Is.
see his name
No.
there at least.
No.
Gustafson says no. Okay. Hainline. Oops. Hanscom.
No.
Jacome,
No.
Jones,
No.
Perry,
No.
Kristen Powers,
No.
Sean Powers,
No.
Dino, Representative Pacino. I don't see him. Okay, he's not here. Ray?
No.
Okay, Richards,
No.
Jason Rusk,
No.
Bill Rusk,
No.
Stevenson, oops, not there. Thomas,
No.
Washington,
No.
Watson,
Must have left
I
you.
think he left, yep. Wells,
No.
you're blind. And White House,
No.
Whitney. I don't see him. Oh, yes, he is. Whitney. Oh. Oh, Whitney,
No.
thank you. 21, and Evan,
No.
22, no, 7, yes. I didn't get any abstentions.
So that motion fails, 7 in favor, 22 opposed, and 0 abstentions. We have a main motion on the floor in the amount of $105,952 for account 10843 Groton Ambulance, made by Representative Gothier and seconded by Representative
I think it's Powers.
Powers. It
Joan
is.
Powers.
Thank you. So all in favor of that main motion, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Portner.
Any abstentions?
Dean
Shay.
Shinbrook.
Abstentions, please speak more slowly.
Dean
Chase.
Shinbrook.
Oh, sorry. Chase and Dean Shinbrat.
Adams.
I miss in person.
So is that 3 abstentions?
That's what I have. I have 1 no and 3 abstentions.
And how many in favor? I don't know how many people are here.
There's 29. 29.
All right, so.
Oh, no,
it
there's
would be
29 altogether. So then we.
25. 25 in favor, 1 opposed, 3 abstentions. Thank you. So it is after 10 o'clock and our rules do state, I want to put it out there. I realize we have a lot of people from other agencies, so I do think it would be prudent to kind of see if we could plow through at least the next account, which is 10845 service agencies. And if not all of them in this 10884, 10884. Chair Gothier, would you like to, and I just want to get a sense of the body.
I say go for it. They've been
I
waiting.
agree.
a long time.
Interesting.
Yes, okay, go ahead.
Thank
Go
you.
for it.
Yeah, go
Okay, I
ahead.
didn't want to make a unilateral decision, but Chair Gothier, could you proceed, please? Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Madam Moderator. Account 10845 service agencies. These, I just want to give a little background. This account is going to be moved in one number despite there being several agencies that are getting allocated out for different amounts. There was a discrepancy between the manager's number and the town council number. I'll go through the motion.
We are at Crossroad Christian Church.
The committee ended up upholding the council number, and that is a motion that I will go through right now. Account 10845 service agencies, the motion was made by Representative Hanscom in the amount of $85,821, seconded by Representative Jason Rusk. Discussion included Representative Rusk asking the town manager, John Burt, why he cut the requested budget amounts from these agencies and if it was indicative of something within the agency. Manager Burt replied that he wanted to address budget gaps for the agencies while still increasing the town's overall commitment, but the cuts were not indicative of anything within any of the agencies. Representative Rusk asked if the town manager was aware of the agency number requests when he made his proposal and Manager Burt said yes. He received the letters and the budget requests. Representatives from various service agencies introduced themselves and offered to answer questions, though there weren't any for any specific agency. Representative Jason Rusk offered an amended motion for $75,895, which was the manager's number. It was seconded by Representative Bailey. That motion failed 2 in favor and 5 against. A new vote was taken on the original motion for $85,821. That passed 5 in favor and 2 against. And so I'd like to put forward to the R.T.M. a motion for account 10845 in the amount of $85,821.
Your second?
Second, Jones.
Thank you. So we do have a motion on the floor for account 10845, outside service agencies in the amount of $85,821. Motion made by Representative Gauthier, seconded by Representative Jones. Is there any discussion on this?
I'd like, oh, sorry.
Representative Chase?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I'd like to put another motion on the floor, please. $75,895.
Bailey, second.
Okay, we have an amendment to the main motion for account 10845, made by Representative Chase, seconded by Representative Bailey, in the amount of $75,895. Representative, let's see, sorry. Get up here. Representative Washington.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. This is a question for the town manager. Can any pandemic relief money be used in any of these accounts? I think that was asked at the town council meeting, and you said you wouldn't know till April, and now we're into May, so I was hoping you would have an answer to that question.
If the state has still not put out any guidance, and then it's going to take a while to figure out after that. We're not going to know anything for a while yet.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Madam Moderator, you didn't let Representative Chase make any statement about her amendment.
Representative Chase, would you like to speak to your amendment?
Sure.
Apologize.
I agree with the town manager that, on his rationale for his number. And again, every agency is, does good work and everything, but they also need to look for funding with all the COVID money that's out there, which there's tons of it, and cut costs in their agency as best they can. Thank you.
Thank you. So Representative Gauthier?
Yes, I just wanted to make sure I was clear when I stated that despite Manager Burt having a lower number of cutting about $10,000, it still is an improvement from what the town committed last year. He did increase that line item overall. And if you look at the distribution, I'm trying to pull it up right now quickly, but there were only 3 services that received a cut from their request. So that was UCFS Behavioral Health Services, Meals on Wheels, and Children First Groton. They all received, varying amounts to their requests. The rest of the agencies did not. So that's something to keep in consideration. I'd like to thank the folks from those agencies that are still present throughout this very arduous process. They also hung on very well in our committee meeting. So just thank you for your commitment to your services on that. That's it. Thank you.
If there are any specific questions of these individuals, let's see, Representative Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I just wanted to speak in favor of the original motion. The $85,821, that the fully funding all the requests. There's a number of these organizations that serve the homeless, serve those with substance abuse and those with domestic violence and behavioral health, sexual assault, all these things. Over the past year that we've had, these incidents have increased. So of all times to fully fund the request, I think this is a good time. That's for one point. For two, the second point, historically, there have been cuts. We have not fully funded here. So, there's a sort of a long-term average aspect to consider that, it would be good to kick back in. And, the name of this category, we have outside agencies. That kind of gives a sense that it's like not here, not involved with us. But these are not agencies that are duplicated in town. These are not things that the town provides. These are regional agencies that all the towns around in Southeast Connecticut chip into, and we chip our part in as well, and we do use them. So, as part of being a good team player, I think it would be good to put in the amount that's been requested. So, and if you look back at the 2020, the requested 2021 numbers, and what they got in the adjusted 2021s, like there was, they were not fully funded in 2021. 2021, the total was 83,594. And the actual adjusted was 74,500. So, that was a significant cut overall. So I think, listening to the meeting with the town council, there a lot of the deliberations revolved around the idea of trying to put back in, because we played it very conservative last year because of the impending pandemic. We didn't know what was going to happen. And now it's sort of, we're trying to pay back and put back in because we kind of leaned on it last year. So I would encourage my fellow representatives to consider supporting the 85,821 number. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Whitehouse?
So first I have a question. So if we cut the number, because we have one aggregate number for everything, does that mean that it gets allocated as the town manager's number does, or the town manager has discretion of where to put it, or what does that cut mean?
I can answer that. If you adopt the town manager's budget, you adopt the town manager's budget, which is very plain to see what was he funded. On page 31, you can see what was funded.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see it on 179 also, right?
Right. Yes. So it would cut in that way, and
That's the town manager's budget.
okay. Yeah. So what we're talking about here, as Representative Thomas said, these agencies, these are not outside agencies. They work in the town. They do work in the town, and the amount of money we give them is very small for the amount of value they provide to us and the services they provide. Looking at Safe Futures and Sexual Assault Crisis Center, they do tremendous, very important work for the people that they serve, and
yes, they do.
We give them a couple $1,000, a few $1,000s, and with these kinds of organizations that usually are very shoestring, a lot of volunteers, we're talking about a change of $10,000 can really change the value that we get. When we're putting through, we've already voted on $100 gazillion million. I haven't been keeping a running tally, but it was a lot. And now we're talking about $10,000, and $10,000 divided among all the among the town. We're talking about like this is my family's portion. Actually, it's not. This is probably my family, my neighbor's portion of $10,000. Because you divide it 40,000 ways, it's 25 cents a piece. So this is my family's portion plus 25 cents left over. So the idea of nickel and diming all these services that do so much for us is
yeah, I agree with you. I have to agree with you. I don't usually, but
it's penny foolish and pound foolish. So I will definitely be opposing the smaller number and supporting the larger number. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Whitney?
Yes, thank you. I also support the larger number and do not support the amended number. But I was wondering, so if I read it correctly, the three organizations that would get a lower number under the amended number would be UCFS Behavioral Health Services, Meals on Wheels, TVCCA, and Children First Groton. I know there are representatives here for the first two. I'm not as sure about the last one, but I was wondering if they could speak to what they use the monies for. My guess is it's money well spent.
Is there anyone from these, let's see, from Children First Groton? Is there anyone from? Is there anyone from UCFS Behavioral?
Yes, moderator. My name is Sydney Phelps. I'm the new grants coordinator for UCFS.
Oh,
I'm happy
thank
to
you.
answer any questions.
I think Representative Whitney was wondering what would happen if you were cut by the amount. Is that correct, Representative Whitney? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Actually, just more generally, what the money goes to, what sort of services it goes to.
So Groton residents would go to our New London site. They are a behavioral health site. So we do comprehensive mental health services for children, adults. We also do families and group in a typical non-COVID era, which we have been able to do remotely. Issues such as depression, anxiety, substance use disorder, PTSD, among many other things. We also have a MAT program, a medically assisted treatment program for clients who use opioids, as well as other addiction counseling. We have licensed psychiatrists who provide evaluations and do medication management. We are an FQHC, so we will not turn anyone away. That is our motto, that is our mission. So we serve the uninsured. We serve individuals and families, and we do offer a low-income sliding scale fee. Of course, if things were to be cut, that might cut programs that we can offer. It might mean that folks have to wait longer to see practitioners. And when we look at billable services for Groton residents, that does come out to $545,000, and we're asking for $4,000. But every drop counts, and we really appreciate anything that the council is willing to give.
Thank you. Representative Whitney, did you have any other questions?
Oh, just as wondering, has the demand increased?
Yes, so we have been able to see our mental health clients. We have been able to keep up with those clients, which has been wonderful. But behavioral health has been one of the only sectors that we have not had any issue retaining our clients. We have seen an increase from over 16% to over 19% as far as service administration goes.
Is that it, Representative Whitney?
Yes, it is for me. I was also wondering about Meals on Wheels. I think they're here too.
Yes, good evening. My name is Eugene Thru. I'm the Director of Nutrition Services for TVCCA and our Meals on Wheels program. So what our program does is we deliver meals to our homebound seniors that are unable to get out of their home due to certain reasons. And in addition to our Meals on Wheels, it's that daily contact that we provide to the individual in addition to the meal, which helps reduce illness, food insecurity, malnutrition. Basically, what our ask is for is directly related to the minimum wage increase. We have two paid drivers. We actually have 4 routes. There's 2 other volunteers on the other 2 routes, but the 2 paid drivers, the ask is directly associated to the minimum wage increase for the next year.
Thank you. Representative Kopp?
Yes, thank you very much. I would just like to say to all these agencies who are still on the phone, thank you so much for doing what you do. And if I wish we were a body that could actually give you more money. I very much support all of these services, and thank you also for hanging in here all night tonight. And I will be voting yes on the higher number. Thank you.
You, Representative Washington, did you want to speak a second time?
Yes, I just had a question for the Meals on Wheel representative. How do you determine how much money you're going to ask each town to contribute to your program? And I guess that could go to all of the agencies. How do they determine how much to ask each town to contribute to their program?
For TVCCA, we have, we're throughout Eastern Connecticut. So there are some towns that don't contribute, and there are other towns that do. And the ask varies on many different things. The size of the town, the number of residents that we have, the long-standing relationship that we have and agreements we have with the particular towns. So there are many factors that go into that. It's not a set stamped request that we ask of every town.
This is Margaret Susoff from Safe Futures. And I would agree with everything that TVCCA said about the asking for the request. We also look at the number of residents we serve in a town. Like for Groton, we serve about of the new people we serve in a year, which is almost 4,000 people, about 14% are residents of Groton. So we do look at how many people we serve, and that type of thing. But we actually ask all the towns in the county, but we don't receive funding from every single town. Thank you.
For UCFS, I did not make this request last year, so I'm just going off of what was in our files for this year. But what it looks like for the budget here is we take the from this year, we took fiscal year 19, the actual cost of administering services to our Groton residents, and we take it looks like about 10% of that, and then add 3, but that's not what we asked for. So that comes out to, if I'm looking at the correct line item here, 56,697, and we're asking for $4,000. So it's a big chunk out of the actual services that we do provide.
Thank you. So seeing no more hands up, we do have amendment to the motion on the floor for account 10845 in the amount of $75,895 made by Representative Chase, seconded by Representative Bailey. Madam Clerk, could we have a roll call vote on this, please?
Certainly. Okay, this is for $75,895. Adams?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Baker?
No.
Burrell? Oops, he's off. Oh, he's here. Okay. Casper?
No.
Cassieri?
No.
Chase?
Yes.
Pop?
No.
Dean Shinbrot?
Yes.
Fitzgerald? Flax? Oh, Fortner? Fortner?
Yes.
Did Fitzgerald say something? I didn't think she was here anymore.
No, Flax left is what I said, sorry.
Okay. Okay.
I got a text from him.
Okay. Okay. I think Frickman left too. Okay. David
I'm here.
Gothier? Oh,
Oh,
Frickman, you're
Frickman's
back.
here.
Okay. All right. Frickman?
Yes.
Okay. David Gothier? Lauren
Was never-
Gothier?
No.
Gustafson?
No.
Okay. Okay. Where am I? Hanscom?
No.
Jacome?
No.
Jones?
No.
Perry?
No.
Kristen Powers?
No.
John Powers?
No.
Tino? Okay. Ray?
No.
Richards?
No.
Jason Rusk?
No.
Jill Rusk?
Abstain.
Stevenson?
He's not here.
Nope, he's not. Thomas?
No.
Washington?
No.
Watson? I think he left. Watson? Wells?
No.
Whitehouse?
No.
Whitney?
Whitney? Whitney? He's still here.
I know, but oh, there he goes. Okay. And Evan?
No.
That's 6 in favor, 22 opposed, and 1 abstention.
So that motion fails. We have a main motion on the floor in the amount of $85,821 made by Representative Gauthier, seconded by Representative Jones, and that's for account 10845 service agencies. All in favor of that, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Jean Ginbrat.
Chase. Any abstentions?
Jill Rusk.
Adams.
Do you know that your toughest cleaning problems can be caused by hard water?
So we have,
Dean Chinbrat, you abstained and, oh, wait a minute, no, you said no. I got 1 abstention, Adams, but who was the other one?
Fortner.
Fortner, thank you.
And Jill Rusk.
Okay, so that's 3 abstentions. That's,
I'm going to abstain too.
oh, wait a minute, now we're going further. Okay,
so that's 23 in favor, 2 opposed, and 4 abstentions.
who was the other opposed?
And I had 2.
Dean Chinbrat and
Chase.
Chase, okay. There you go.
So that motion passes 23 in favor, 2 opposed, 4 abstentions. Thank you. Shall we plow on for marine sewage and
Yes.
Yes. Is that okay? But just feel bad because there are
Yes.
people who have like spent hours on their
I'm
Zoom.
gonna leave Sima. This is for Cindy Fortner. I gotta go.
Thank you for letting me know.
Okay, thank you.
This is Karen Adams. I'm leaving also.
Thank you for letting us know. Chair Guthrie, would you like to continue with account 10847 marine sewage disposal?
Yes, sure. So count 10847 marine sewage disposal, Representative Hainline made a motion in the amount of $19,980, and that was seconded by Representative Bailey. Discussion was as follows. Mr. Peter Chappell, who represents the company that provides the service to the town, was present to answer questions. Representative Gauthier asked about sources of support. Mr. Chappell responded that 25% is covered by towns serviced, such as Stonington, Fishers Island, and Groton. Marinas donate dock slips, but there's no fundraising. The requested amount has been flat since 2008. Gauthier asked if the service was provided free to residents. Mr. Chappell responded yes. Representative Bailey asked if they have seen a decrease over this year from previous years as far as gallons of waste disposed. Mr. Chappell answered that last year was a big year and they anticipate the same for this year. Representative Hanscom asked if federal funds changed over the years and if the federal grant is a matching grant. Mr. Chappell responded that it was not a matching grant and that Groton is not required to give this funding, but he replied that he would stop supplying the service after this year if Groton refused to fund. This amount passed unanimously out of committee, so I'd put forward to the R.T.M. for account 10847, a motion for $19,980.
Serious second.
Second.
I already got one from from Cassieri. Thank you. So we do have a motion on the floor for account 10847 marine sewage disposal on an amount of $19,980. Motion made by Representative Gothier and seconded by Representative Cassieri. And I do believe Mr. Chappell is here if anyone has questions.
Yep, I'm here.
Thank you.
No, thank you guys.
I have a question.
Sure.
You know, I'm just curious how much the town of Stonington pays for your services, or
So-
if you service boats in the Mystic River that are on the Stonington side?
Yes, yeah, we do the Mystic River. So yes, we do Stonington. Last year was the first, I think it was last year was the first year they gave us something that was worthwhile talking about. We had asked for the same amount that we asked for from Groton, and they ended up giving us $10,000. I don't know what they're going to do this year. We put in for the same amount. I'm hoping that they give us $10,000. It's taken us a long time to knock on Stonington and ask them to pony up. So hopefully they pony up again this year.
Do you roughly pump out the same amount of Stonington boats, or is it less than Groton-based boats?
It's actually less than Groton, because you got to remember, Groton, we also have the Thames River. You know, we go all the way up. Well, we go up to Gills Ferry, but that's not Groton. But we do. You got the Thames River, you got Shenandoah Yacht Club, Groton, Long Point, Mumford Cove. There's a lot more area to the Groton area. There's more waterfront to Groton than there is to Stonington.
Doesn't the Shenandoah Yacht Club have a pump out though? Like that's
They have a pump. They have, well, a lot of them, well, not a lot. Several of the marines on the Mystic River have a pump station. Shenandoah Yacht Club does have a pump station, and they allow us to use that station to discharge our boats at. That's one of our main discharge places over in that area, because you know we don't want to run a boat full from Shenandoah over to Mystic or all the way up to Gills Ferry. You wouldn't want to run a boat full.
You're not really servicing that Pine Island Bay, then you're.
Oh yeah, we do. We absolutely service Pine Island Bay. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Doesn't the marina have a pump out as well?
The marina does, but people don't. You know, people would rather call the boat. We have a system. We have an online system so that they can just make a reservation online. So when they come in on Sunday, they just park the boat, and we go in on Monday or Tuesday and pump their boat out. It's more convenient for the boaters than tying the T head up waiting for, you know, because there's people waiting to get gas and everything else. So the dock space at those is limited space at the end of the T heads for the boat. So if everybody wanted to get a pump out at the end of the day, on a Sunday, they'd be waiting forever. You'd have a line going up the Thames River.
Is there a charge for these people that you're pumping out?
No. The state of Connecticut, the state of Connecticut last year, they announced that the whole state is free. The whole state of Connecticut, nobody charges up and down the state. It's free. You know, because different like the town of East Lyme is Save the Hills, Save the Sound. It's another private organization like myself. They get funding from the towns and stuff, and it's free over there. So each agency has been able to get enough money where they can provide the free pump out.
Does the state pay you any to subsidize your work?
The state so what happens is the state gives us 75% reimbursement, and then the other 25% we got to that's where your money comes in. So they'll give me 75% of all my expenses, and then I got to come up with the other 25%.
Why don't they pay at all?
Excuse me, I have the floor. Do marinas or yacht clubs pay?
So the marinas don't per se pay us. several of the marinas donate us slips, and that goes towards our match. We have 4 boats that we run. So that's 4 slips that come out of that. The marinas will give us discounts on fuel. That's how they pitch in.
Thank you. Representative Baker, did you wish to speak? Or someone, I wasn't sure who it was.
No, I don't wish to speak. I certainly support what, Madam Moderator, what this gentleman does. I don't know what we'd do if people couldn't have their boats pumped out. And I'm sorry for my comment. I didn't realize I was still on I was off mute.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other comments on this? All right, seeing no other hands raised, we do have a number on the floor for account 10847 in the amount of $19,980. Motion made by Representative Gauthier, seconded by Representative Cassieri. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? I'm going to abstain.
I just real quick, I'd like to say thank you for your guys' support and your willingness to donate so much time. I donate a lot of time, and a lot of different organizations volunteer, and nobody realizes the amount of time that it takes. And I just want to thank you guys for your time and your service.
Thank you, Mr. Chappell. Thank you for coming and staying until the bitter end.
I had a computer issue. I thought I was going to lose you. I thought, oh no. Thank you.
So thank you. That motion does pass, and I believe it is
8, so we're 0
28
to
in
1.
favor,
Yep.
none opposed, and 1 abstention. Is that correct?
That's exactly what I have.
Perfect. All right. What's the body's desire now? It's 10:43. We have the 2 more on this 1084-9, and we could finish this out, but my thought is that we should recess till at some point, whether we finish this out, since I do think we have someone from the 2 libraries, we could finish on Monday, the 24th, which we've reserved for this.
No, we have
We have-
2 libraries and the registrar of voters.
So for
And
the community and
contingency.
development
Yeah, well, that's, we can always do that Monday.
for community and development services, we have 3 accounts left. We have the Mystic River Ambulance, the Mystic Noank Library, and the Bill Memorial Library.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's what I was thinking, is that we could end at that point. Who would like to finish these last 3 community and development accounts?
Yes.
Raise your
I
little
would.
hand and then I can see. Yeah, okay. Let's finish these up. And then I would suggest we could just, even if people have waited, I guess we could try to do voter registration, but I would try to put all finance on Monday, the 24th. And then if people wish to reconsider the motion on the VNA, we could do it at that time. Does that make sense?
Are we not meeting Thursday? You had one scheduled for Thursday.
Yeah, I would rather do it on Monday. And that will give time to get the information. I have a early morning talk, sorry, in Texas, but I'm gonna zoom in. If
Okay,
that
what
seems
count are we on?
We're on account, sorry, 10848 Mystic River Ambulance. Chair Gauthier, would you like to continue?
I would love to. Count 10848 Mystic River Ambulance. A motion was made by Representative Bailey in the amount of $25,000. There was no second, and therefore the motion failed. A motion was made by Representative Baker in the amount of $50,000 and seconded by Representative Hanscom. Mr. Michael Gilmer was available to represent the Mystic River Ambulance, and Representative Gauthier asked a list of questions provided by Representative Richards, which I will read now. So the first question was, if calls are down and staffing is down, why have salaries for full-time EMTs gone up by $68,600 between FY18 to 19 and FY21 to 22? The response from Mr. Gilmer was that as people leave to pursue other careers, service hires new people, And they polled agencies similar in size with similar call volumes and found that paid staff administrators were underpaid. And that was a large cost driver, about $20,000. They increased a salary item because they found on a cost comparison that that was the underpay. Second question was, what is your billable call rate? The response was, it's a set rate. They don't control it. It's $758 per call, $18.44 per mile. And the percentage for billable versus non-billable are about 350 non-billable calls last fiscal year. Medicare, Medicaid, TRICARE only pay for $672,319 just for Groton.
Mute yourself if you're not talking. Sorry, continue.
Third question was to please list your board of directors. President Michael Gilmer, Vice President Ray Mon, the training officer commander Samantha Carmack, Molly Humchenko is the vice commander. Board of directors was John Wilson, Victor Lima, Todd McDonald, Glenn Hathaway, Frank Sosha, and paid staff administrator Maria Wilson. How often is your budget independently audited? And the answer was every year. So those were the questions, and the committee passed unanimously. The amount motion 50,000. Oh, sorry, it was not unanimous. The committee passed 6-1, $50,000. So I'd like to put a motion forward to the R.T.M. for account 10848, the Mystic River Ambulance, an amount of $50,000.
Second, Powers.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion on the floor for account 10848, Mystic River Ambulance, in the amount of $50,000, made by Representative Gothier, seconded by Representative Powers. Any discussion on this? I do believe we have a representative from Mystic River Ambulance here. Yep.
Yes, I am. And for clarification, my last name is Gilman, not Gilmer.
Gilman, thank you.
I am so sorry.
I don't see any hands raised. So we do have a motion on the floor in the amount of $50,000 for account 10848. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes. I believe it's 20, we have 27 members now.
I didn't see who left.
I think Representative Adams and Fortner said they had to leave, right?
I had them already gone.
Oh, okay. All right, so are we at 29?
I think it's 26 according to the panelist rollers. Sorry, 27.
27 is what I have.
That's what I thought. It was 27.
Yeah,
27 in favor, 0. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, I can't remember if I said that. It's getting too late. 27 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions. That motion passes. Thank you. And the next item is Mystic Noack Library 10849. Chair Gothier.
Thank you. Account 10849, the Mystic Noack Library. A motion was made by Representative Baker for $115,000, seconded by Representative Hanscom. Mr. Chris Heppel was available from the Mystic Noack Library to answer questions. Representative Jason Rusk asked why their budget was over 3 times larger than the Bill Memorial Library. Mr. Keppel said that they could not comment on why the Bill Memorial's budget was what it was, but the library's request is flat and has been flat for the past 7 years. Representative Hanscom asked why Stonington gave a smaller amount than Groton. Mr. Keppel responded that he's not entirely sure, but that amount was proportional. The committee unanimously passed the amount, and so I'd like to forward to the R.T.M. for account 10849 an amount of $115,000.
Darius, second.
Second.
So we have a motion on the floor for account 10845 Mystic Noack Library in the amount of $115,000, made by Representative Gothier, seconded by Representative Cassieri. I believe we have a member, a person, a representative of the library here, Christine Bradley. If
She's
anyone
the
has any-
director. She's the director.
Director Bradley, if in case anyone has any questions. I do have a question, but let's see if anyone else does. Director Bradley, if I could just ask, how much does Stonington pay to your budget, contribute to your budget? Representative Washington?
Yes, I have a question. On page 126, it says unrestricted $117,800 and restricted $119,025. That's for operating income. Exactly what does that mean? What's unrestricted and restricted?
Huh?
If I may answer, just based on my knowledge of nonprofit accounting. Moderator Evan. Oh, sorry, Director Bradley's here. There we go.
Oh,
She's
sorry, I apologize. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, good, okay. Yeah, the restricted funds are when someone gives a gift. For instance, if you were to give a gift to the library and you wanted it to be spent on books, then it's restricted just for that reason. Unrestricted is usually something like the annual fund, where people will just give a gift to the library and then it's up to management to decide how it's spent.
Thank you.
Okay.
Director Bradley, I'd like to ask a question. I see that the town of Stonington is down for approved $111,500. Is that what they've actually approved for your budget?
Yes, that went through. Yeah, so that, that was all set, and and that was, I'm sorry, in both cases for the town of Groton and the town of Stonington, those were both the same amounts that we requested last year.
Okay, and so Stonington did approve this again for this year, 111,000.
Yes.
So in terms of usage of this library, can you say in terms of borrowing of books, what split it is between Groton and Stonington?
Yes, sure. It's actually more Groton. It's about 55, 45. Yeah, and we do that by addresses of card holders. But it's, little Groton's bigger, so it makes sense.
Is that the library card split or is that the book borrowing split?
No, it's a library card split. Yeah, we don't really have a way to split the actual circulation, but you have the addresses for the library card holders, so we can do that.
Thank you. Any questions? Representative Washington, your hand's still up. Did you want to ask another question?
Oh, I could. How many employees do you have, full-time and part-time?
Sure, we have 14 employees and 5 of them are full-time.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a number on the floor. I see no more hands up, and this is in the amount of 115,000 for account 10845, Mystic Library. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Chase abstain.
That motion passes 26 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstention.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Bradley. We have one last item on this. This is the Bill Memorial Library 10849A. Chair Gothier, if you'd like to take us through this last item on this.
It'd be an honor. Account 10849A, the Bill Memorial Library, Representative Rusk, motion amount of $30,000, seconded by Representative Bailey. Mr. Robert Zuliani was present to represent the Bill Memorial Library. There were no questions or discussions. It passed unanimously through committee. And so I'd like to forward to the R.T.M. an amount of $30,000 for 10849A, the Bill Memorial Library.
Second.
Second.
I'm sorry, there were so many seconds there. I saw, I think, was it Jason
Not
Rusk?
second. Oh, sorry.
Oh, Cop, thank you. All right, so we have account 10849A, Bill Memorial Library. Motion made by Representative Gauthier, seconded by Representative Kopp, in the amount of $30,000. Any questions? I believe we may have someone from the library. Oh, I don't see
This
it.
is Rob Zuliani, the treasurer, and I have with me Wendy Connell, the library director.
Thank you for hanging in there till the end. Are there any questions? I see there are no questions. I noticed, I remember from last time, there were some significant like infrastructure improvements envisioned for the future. I was just curious how those were going and how the funding for those improvements were going.
Actually, we're doing very well. We just recently did a roof improvement, and we've made some capital investments in our security system, and we're handling it. We still have the old building syndrome. Unfortunately, it's a continual thing every year, but we're figuring it out. We're taking it piece by piece. We're looking at maybe doing some major changes in the future, but we need to find funding first.
I was curious if there had been any discussions between your library and the folks who are the town officials or the developer who's buying the school that's adjacent to that property about perhaps conveying some of it for additional parking, or, have you been involved in the exchange of property or any of those discussions?
We've had discussions that go way back. Basically, we have a piece of real estate that has been used by the school for many years. It was mostly the playground area, and there's a section over here to the right of our building that belongs to the school. And there was discussion early about actually doing a swap between that land and the land we have, and it's going to be part of the transaction. It's unfortunately what happens is the school needs to be sold first, and then this transaction will follow. It's going to be an equal swap, and there's a discussion about maybe making improvements to our side. And right now, it hasn't been finalized, but the discussion is definitely agreed by everybody.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, we have account 10849A, Bill Memorial Library, motion in the amount of $30,000 on the floor. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Jill Rusk.
That motion passes 25 in favor, 0 opposed, 2 abstentions. Thank you.
I thank you very much, and I
Thank you,
appreciate
Mr. Zuliani, for hanging in there.
Who's the other abstention? Now I got Jill Ross.
That was Jill Rusk and Kathy Chase, Representative Chase.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Thank you.
All right, so I would like to entertain a motion to recess if that's possible.
Gauthier, so moved.
Second, Jones.
Second.
So we have a motion to recess made by Representative Gauthier, seconded by Representative Jones. All in favor, please say aye.
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 We'll reconvene at 7 o'clock on Monday, the 24th. Oh, sorry, did I say any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries 27 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions. I apologize, I'm really super tired. We will reconvene on Monday at 7 o'clock, and we will finish up these last finance accounts. Actually, and we will also have to vote on the minutes for the community and development committee. I apologize. We didn't do that.
Sorry, registrar of voters. I know you've been hanging around.